Pound.
In a world,
Shut the hell up.
where Carolina Panthers fans
Anthony from Charlotte, keep motherfucking pounding.
have an insatiable thirst
I need to see a lot more of that shit going forward.
for Panthers news and opinions.
All my C3 brethren from the C3 Legion.
Only one podcast roars ferociously.
The longest running Panthers podcast on the internet.
It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Oh, Greg, I owe y'all $100, man.
The Carolina Panthers have brought back David Moore, or have restructured a renegotiated contract with Adam Thielen. And did you know they may have one of the best running back rooms in the NFL after a free agent addition? You're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. Tonight's show, Panthers navigating final stages of free agency in preparation for NFL draft. And you know who I do it each and every week, my wheelman, Cody Lack. How you doing?
Tony Dunn, you already know there is no way I'd rather be on a Tuesday night than sitting with my boys talking Panthers football. Listen, on Wednesday, the day after we did our pod, there was a bunch of news, man. We re-signed Adam Thielen. Rico Dowed has been added to the running back room. You know, the Panthers are looking towards the draft. There's a ton going on, and a lot of Panther fans are big time upset that the Panthers did not make a meaningful upgrade to the wide receiver room in free agency. The fallout from that has been pretty catastrophic on Twitter, but we're going to talk about it all here tonight with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. You already know them and love them. It's Adam Sanders, our boy Diesel Skills, the brand ambassador, Panther Pickle, what's up, brother? Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, Frank Nitty, Harvey London, Kristen Butler, what's up, girl? Squad Down Productions, Trap X, and the Neighborhood Hope Dealer. Tony Dunn, it's a Tuesday night. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
The number's 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. Be a part of the show. Be a part of the conversation. Smash the thumbs up button, subscribe, and maybe consider being a C3 super fan for $1.99 a month. I know who's a super fan in my eyes. It's CK. How you doing, my man?
Man, oh goodness. It is really that time of the year where we have to start taking a look at people that will very likely have no impact on the Carolina Panthers for the majority of what we're going to be doing for the coming weeks. But we still have Panthers news to talk about, and that's exciting enough. Man, just good to be doing it another week with everybody here. You fellas, you're certainly my escape on a Tuesday night from week to week. So I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate everybody in the chat being here. And let's talk about some Panthers.
Let's jump into tonight's show. The Panthers are navigating final stages of free agency, and we've got some in-house housekeeping to do. David Moore at the top of the list as the Carolina Panthers have brought him back. Now, you said that the Panthers Twitter was in a frenzy. Panthers Twitter, all of the world is always in a frenzy.
All the time.
Everything's fine. David Moore really made some big-time plays for the Carolina Panthers last year. Had some moments, too, where there were some big-time oopsies, or it felt like. But veteran player who's traveled the league and been in Seattle, then to Tampa, and now Carolina. Canales has a familiarity with him. He has a familiarity with Canales. This is the – look, if you were going to go get you're not going to be out there getting T. Higgins right now, it seems like. We saw that they're not – they didn't go and get Chris Godwin or something to that effect. So they are going to have some additional bodies, and a veteran presence like David Moore is not a problem here. I think, is that this is a type of player that stays in the league for a reason.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people take what happened so far in free agency as an indictment on the front office, believing that we didn't add talent around Bryce Young. When I think we have a promising wide receiver core already built here, and I'm certainly not willing to give up on the hope that is Coker and Xavier Leggett. Would it have been exciting for the podcast for us to have made a splash with any of these wide receivers? Absolutely. But bringing back a guy like David Moore, who had a great rapport with Bryce Young, who seemed to have that when Adam Thielen wasn't the go-to guy, it seemed to be David Moore in those moments that were most necessary. Granted, there obviously are going to be ones that we can point to where he made a drop or something along those lines. But all in all, I think this was a solid signing and allows this core of wide receivers and Bryce Young to stay intact. I just think that's only the chemistry is only going to be able to build from here.
Yeah, and you mentioned Bryce Young to David Moore and the connection that they've built. I mean, right here was one of his better plays of the season, but Bryce Young just trusting him to get enough separation and come down with the football to get a touchdown. And look, man, I sort of hinted at it earlier, right? There is a large contingent of the Panther fandom who feels like we needed to get Bryce a number one wide receiver. And then when you hear news that we're re-signing David Moore after missing out on some other options that could have potentially been available, people are freaking out and then unnecessarily talking shit about David Moore. And I know you're not here to defend yourself, Pickle, but I'm going to tell you, you just shut the hell up tonight. David Moore does not suck. He may not be the name that you want, but shout out to my brother Diesel Skills. I remember being at Fan Fest with him, watching him separate and watching his aggression in going up to get the football. I like David Moore. I think that this is a good addition. He's another body that Bryce can depend on. He does not suck. And it provides us the opportunity to be able to upgrade the wide receiver room through the draft if we already find that we have a wide receiver in mind that would be available there. So this allows us to do a lot of different things. Tony, CK, it feels a lot like Dan Morgan and Brant Tillis have been trying a lot to keep that same continuity that we did start to pick up at the end of last year with a lot of this roster, from all the guys on the O-line and Corbett and Christensen and Cade Mays. Now you're bringing back some of these wide receivers that Bryce has a connection with and really help jumpstart the offense at the end of the year last year. I think this is a good signing. I know a lot of people are, maybe underestimating this a little bit, but this is a good quality depth signing and a player who can make big-time plays for us.
I think it shows or at least I think that the wide receiver, the need for just a giant impact player, game-changing player, sure, everybody wishes to have those things, but I think that narrative is overblown in what is necessary for building the Panthers to the next level of success. While that could bring you some excitement, and it would help, right? But I think this is that you don't want to sacrifice the building of something solid in an effort to just be like, it's kind of it looks shiny on the outside, right? And look, we know that Dan Morgan, he is targeted and he goes aggressively after things that he believes are really going to improve the team on a not just on a week-to-week basis, but a sustainable basis throughout the season. You saw it with the offensive line this year. But I even think if you look at how he attacked free agency with the defense, is that it really was about building up the middle rather than going after the high impact, like the edge rusher that commands so much attention. And while I just think this is fun for us fans, right? Is like wide receiver, quarterback, defensive end. Like these are the glamorous, sexy skill positions. They're the ones that get paid the most. But I think the Panthers doing this, but we're not going after a wide receiver, says there's other ways for this team to get better and get better faster than just adding a top tier wide receiver.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the thing that this does and excites me about this entire thing is this offense began to click at the end of last year. Were there some mistakes by wide receivers like Xavier Leggett? Absolutely. But it started to click and it started to hum to the tune of us being, blow for blow with teams like the Eagles and the Chiefs there towards the end. I'm not mad about keeping that core of players in place and hoping that the players that are considered new and improving to continue to get better, learn what it's like to be a pro. I think Xavier Legette has only one way to go, and that's up from where he had his rookie year. And Jalen Coker, I think at this point in time, I mean, if you're not excited about this kid and if he doesn't have a more expanded role in this offense, that'd be a surprise to me after what we saw last year. I think, is it suck that you feel like you don't have that number one? Absolutely. But here's the thing. You bring T. Higgins here. You spend so much draft capital to bring him. You spend so much money to bring him here. And then now all of a sudden you're doing what the Bengals are doing right now, which is focusing so much on offense that the reason that they lost last year, which is how bad their defense was, has to go neglected. And that's what's happening for them. They have got so much money in their offense. Their defense can't be better than it was last year. They're on the verge of losing their best playmaker in Trey Hendrickson because they can't pay him along with the Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, along with Joe Burrow's ridiculous contract. You know, we're doing the best we can right now with what we have. And honestly, I think Dan Morgan's doing a fantastic job keeping this offense in place while we try to improve this defense.
We can't forget, though, the other side of the coin, and that is that Panther fans have a reason for what they are saying, right? I mean, and that is and let's just go straight to Sizzle God. Thank you for the C3 bomb of $1.99. He said, remember the 2015 receiver core.
Great
Now that could be in a couple of different ways, right? Do you remember them and that success you found with a mishmash group of people? Or it could be like, hey, do you remember the time squandered and of Cam's career and really what could have been a great run for the Panthers because they didn't have, those deadly players at wide receiver. And there's two ways to look at that. I think one is that, we're right in the past. Like we've celebrated what Brandon Beane did when he went to Buffalo and he learned from the mistakes of the Panther past and went and traded for Stephon Diggs, jump-started that. But look, is that they've also recalculated, reoriented their position to try to have continued sustained success. The other thing is I've watched this Panthers group for a long time now. And while we've never had a great bunch, right? I mean, the only great bunch of receivers we ever had was Smitty and Moose, like together, right? I mean, that's the best. I just would put this is that looking at that group last year, this not even close to being the worst group I've seen.
No, and also remember all the points that we've left out on the field when you factor in drops from XL being a rookie, that just some misalignment things. Like there were points that were left on the board, and we were in a lot of those games, even with this wide receiver core. And again, I know a lot of people feel like we're running the risk of repeating the same sins that we committed with Cam Newton on Bryce Young by not giving him that super good wide receiver number one threat. But let's also remember that we were sold on Bryce Young being this ultimate distributor of the football. Yeah. And if that's your skill set, you really don't require that true hands down number one wide receiver Jamar Chase type, and don't get me wrong, any team would love to have a player like that, but they don't grow on trees, man. You have to draft those dudes. And
or you get them when you're a piece away, or when you have some other components in it, that were built there. Is that really it would be malpractice for the Panthers to have not addressed this defense as aggressively they did in the offseason or in this free agency. And man, I guess the real argument is that you didn't even address it aggressively enough by getting the top tier of top tier players. But I really am. I'm pleased. Look, is that we're in a time here is we don't need shiny. We don't need. We don't. What we need is proof in the pudding, and it doesn't matter. You can give me the biggest star in the world. Go to Carolina. I'll be happy. I'll be excited for a moment, but I'm still going to come back and say, man, it's time to see this business on the field. So really, is that we're just. I feel like Dan Morgan's just packing his lunchbox, going to work, putting in his work. and getting things done. What else has he got done? Adam Thielen coming back. Old man Thielen. He's only 30, maybe not only. I think he's 36. What's the deal with this? Is because he was under contract, right? And we always is like, I love these players that what they can threaten is like, I'll just retire. And it's like, we'll pay you. I'll take you out to dinner.
Well, that's what I was saying. The Panthers have made a concerted effort to make sure that there is continuity from what was starting to work last year in Carolina. And this also happened right after we got off pretty much the pod Tuesday night. Adam Thielen re-signs. And listen, I think this opens up for the development of a ton of different players. And specifically, I'm talking about XL and Jalen Coker. Because when you have Mr. Reliable, Mr. Dependable, until proven otherwise, defenses know to key on Adam Thielen. He is the guy that has given us most of our production since he's been here in Carolina. He's been with Bryce through the good times and the bad, and the dude has been a consummate professional. The dude continues to bust his ass and show up, even if a bunch of loser former NFL players want to go on their funky-ass YouTube channel and make fun of him. Okay, Adam Thielen has been busting his ass for the Panthers, and I think right now, as we're in a transition period from what the Panthers offense has been to what it will be in the future, Adam Thielen is that perfect stopgap player that allows us to do a lot of different things on offense and be versatile in a lot of ways that Dave Canales and Brad Idzik wants us to be. So shout out to Adam Thielen. I think that he's going to be just a great guy to have help develop Jalen Coker and XL and to be there for Bryce as he continues to grow. Yeah, this is a good move for us. I'm not mad at it.
CK, one thing, though, about Adam Thielen is he's been here 2 seasons with us now?
Yeah, this will be his 3rd coming up, yeah.
In 2 seasons, he's marked like 5 of – he's probably got 5 of the top 20 catches in Panthers history when it just comes to, like, how did he do that? When it comes to one of them is in this video where he had 2 in one game where it's like, but that one-handed, out of bounds, feet in, but also that 4th down catch that they didn't give a catch that was a touchdown. There are many noteworthy, memorable catches. The dude is, he's not fast. He looks like an old man running, like your uncle running, but good Lord, is he always getting free? He's making great catches, and he runs after the catch too.
And keep in mind, one of the star players of the Super Bowl, Cooper DeJean, said at the end of the year, what was the hardest receiver to cover? Who was the receiver that was your welcome to the NFL moment? And Cooper DeJean said Adam Thielen.
Wow.
And a dude has gone up against a bunch of different guys, and he said Adam Thielen was his welcome to the NFL moment because Adam Thielen was making him look like he was cooked absolutely out of the gate. Adam Thielen, here's the deal. He isn't going to be flashy in like making these crazy. He has, don't get me wrong, but he is. One of the things that I find, interesting is one of the most impressive plays from the season was the play where he ended up getting hurt that caused him to miss like 3 or 4 games, and that was that Andy Dalton deep pass. He somehow got behind the secondary for a slow ass wide receiver that everybody says that he is, which to be fair, he is. And he got behind the secondary and he still corralled this catch when he was literally tearing his quadricep or whatever it was he had injured. And so the dude is reliable in so many different ways. I don't care if he is 34 or not. To be quite honest with you, it's what he's doing at 34. The dude has proven people wrong his entire career. That has been his entire thing. When they do hit 30 for 30 on Adam Thielen, it's going to be one of the most motivational things you're ever going to watch in your life when you watch what this kid came from to where he is now.
Yeah, like no D1 offers or something like that.
I'm not betting against him at all. And so if he wants to be on this team next year, if I'm you, I'm picking him up on your fantasy league.
Great comment from Stephen Bailey. Thielen knows how to use his body to protect his catch space. Look, is you. I mean, I guess look, everybody wants to be the elite of elite athletes, right? Like, I mean, yeah, that is an advantage, right? To be Tyreek Hill, to have that speed is an advantage. It's just not the only thing that can make you successful.
Yeah.
And when you look, it kind of, and I feel like I'm busting on Adam Thielen when I say this because he's not, man. He's just out there doing work, dude. Like, it's not like you're like, oh, he's so slow out there. I mean, like, he's getting open. He's making catches. He's making 1,000 yards. He's doing everything. We're just talking, right? But it's like 34 is like ancient in the NFL, which is crazy. I'm 43. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my gosh. Like, I'm looking at my like, oh gosh, I need to put some wrinkle cream under here before these
dude,
fans.
You're a decade older than all of the guys that we call really old in the NFL.
And then I'm like, oh wait, they're gonna tell me I'm too old to be podcasting. I better put my wrinkle cream on. The other is what was it? And this sounds like I'm busting on them, but it really is the case. Is like every now and then I run across these cool videos of like some older dude like schooling kids on the basketball court, and they just got like these old, I mean, like kind of grandpa moves. Like in this, they just work, bro. They know how to box out, they know how to back up, they know how to do the fadeaway, and it's just like, man, it's not. And the NBA is kind of cool right now for that. Is the NBA got a bunch of Jokic or whatever the guy that is for the Lakers. This dude, they all play like old uncles. Like they don't like. Yeah, they look like Deebo Samuel. I tell you this, I've been telling y'all this forever. Deebo Samuel don't look like he is fit. He looks like an uncle gets out there, but he's
have you seen him recently? There were pictures of him. Yeah. He's got like a beer belly and shit.
I've been trying to tell y'all this for a minute.
But dude, also like a lot of Panther fans were clamoring for Debo, and I'm like, we're trying to get a wide receiver 1, and y'all are trying to sign a running back. Like,
yeah,
to me, he's not a true wide receiver 1 in that regard.
I think we got another super chat. Let's go ahead and holler out that super chat. We appreciate your support.
Yeah, 199. Stonewall says many hands make for light work.
Yes.
Yeah, he's talking about that wide receiver room that you know, if everybody's getting their touches as a defense, you have to be very versatile and multiple because you don't know where this ball is going to go. You have to defend every level of the field. And I think that's what he's talking about, too.
Let's finish we'll finish the conversation on the wide receivers with this. Is that granted, every single person, you get a number 1 wide receiver, is it going to make our team worse? No. Right? Like, I mean, adding an A-lister player to your team automatically makes it better. But do you think that was the best way to make the Panthers better?
I don't
either. It's like, I mean, I would like it, but I mean, I think that it would be malpractice to focus on that. And not look is
but hold on. That's a whole part of the show. We're gonna get into that.
Good. Then let's move on.
Let's wrap up all the news that we sort of missed from last week to make sure that we've all reacted to the news. This is great.
Quietly great sign.
I loved it, and you know what? You're not the only one who loves it, Tony. There's a lot of top analysts and people in the know who think that this is a fantastic move for the Carolina Panthers. Dave Canales has multiple times said how dedicated he wants to be to pounding the rock and running the football. And that's exactly what the Panthers did. They went out and signed former Dallas Cowboy running back Rico Dowd to a 1-year deal worth up to $6.25 million. The dude is an angry runner, a strong runner. This is from the Panthers account putting out rush hour of Dowdle and Hubbard. Boys, Dowdle has kind of a similar, in my opinion, a similar type of run style to Chuba. I don't hate this at all. Shout out to our boys, White Chocolate Espresso and JD in the chat. Another damn Gamecock on the Panthers roster, and be on the lookout because we're not done talking about Gamecocks tonight, boys. But yeah, Rico Dowdle is a big time signing CK, Tony, what did you make of the new addition to the Panthers running back room? And what do you think it does for our offense next year?
I think it answers one of the questions we had going into the offseason, and is that how do you handle the situation with losing Jonathan Brooks last year, and the fact that the reality that we're probably going to have him be sitting on the bench even if he becomes healthy towards the end of the season next year. I don't think that it's worth risking him to put into the game. So it answers a question about who's going to be backing up Hubbard, or who can be that 1-2 punch with Hubbard. But it also answered the question about what you're doing with Miles Sanders in the contract that he had, and how much cap that was going to be impacting us. I think we got an upgrade at our running back position, and I think it just means that we are going to be dedicated to running the ball, like Dave Canales has expressed his interest in doing.
Bro, you see the jump cuts on film. I've got a little highlight film rolling of Rico Dowd. Like Kristen Butler says, angry is good when you're a running back. And this dude, he does not go down upon first contact. Not only is he strong with that good post-contact balance, but he's nimble as well. He's very shifty.
He's a little more shifty than Chuba is.
I mean, maybe so. I mean, this is a really good compliment.
Kind of like a bowling ball to me. Like, he just is a straight line, which I like.
Yeah, Dowdle might make you miss a little bit more.
Is Dowdle, is he got pretty good hands? Here we go.
Yeah, literally right as you say that, he catches passes. Yeah, I think this is a great signing for Bryce. Having the ability to have two running backs that can really do damage for you, I think it's a great signing. I think he's a far better running back than Miles Sanders was, who we're going to kind of talk about a little bit later. But I think this is a great signing, man.
Did we run a lot of two running back, in the backfield type plays last year? I wonder if this will be one of those, because here's what I don't want to have happen. And I don't know if you guys remember the first year we drafted Christian McCaffrey, we had Jonathan Stewart still in the backfield. And when Christian McCaffrey came in, it was a guaranteed we were just throwing the ball to Christian McCaffrey. We weren't really going to hand it off to him. And so we became one-dimensional in an offensive way, because if Jonathan Stewart was in there, we were running the ball. If Christian McCaffrey was in there, we were passing the ball. And so it feels like, there could be a scenario where they're utilizing this as a signing that's meant to maybe allow for some, not saying that he can't run up the middle. Like, clearly we have the offensive firepower to do that. But it makes me wonder if maybe there is a concerted effort to try to get us somebody who's going to be a weapon out of the backfield from the passing game.
I think JD's right. Dowdle is a great compliment to Chuba, right? Is the way I look is, and I just knew Dowdle from fantasy football last year. And I remember that he had a hot start, right? As in the first 6 games he was putting in. And I think that, and I could be wrong, so I'm sure the chat will correct me if I am. But it was as the teams kind of hit that week 6, like Cody likes to get to talk about, like you really learn who you are as a team, that you also saw that the Cowboys had a problem, and that was who's their quarterback? Why is his name escaping me right now?
Dak Prescott?
Yeah, Dak Prescott is dealing with injury, I think, is that when they went to a team that had the inability to throw, that it let the teams prepare and like focus on stopping the run. And then Dowdle kind of, he cooled, right? That hot streak cooled a little bit. What I think is, in some ways, this is very similar to Chuba in a way, not play style necessarily, but the question is Dowdle a bell cow running back? And he could be, maybe, right? Like, these players still have time.
So like Kev says, he has 1,000 yards from scrimmage.
But what it was is the Cowboys are sitting here going, it's got to be Dowdle and somebody, right? Like, it's like Dowdle, we're not going to bring him back and pay him big money or something and just trust that he's the dude. Many ways, like we were with Chuba in the last bits of his before we re-signed him and extended him. But I don't think that while everybody says that we believe that Chuba is the guy, a guy that is like the dude that we expect. He's the number one on the depth chart. The Panthers are going to roll with him on a lot of downs. I don't think anybody believes that really that it would be wise to just go Chuba and mishmash group behind him in the event that something happens wrong. I think the fact that they drafted Jonathan Brooks says that, look, you can't have that like this, right? Is you have to have a guy that you believe can, like Jonathan Stewart's about to say, set the tone, but then another guy that can give him some reps off, give a change of pace, and also in the event that Chuba gets nicked up, your running back room isn't destroyed. Yeah. I like this, and I like that the fact it's a 1-year signing. I think Dowdle is coming here with a prove it. Like he's going to want to go. It might be a one and done deal for Dowdle if it works out, and he wants to go sign a big deal somewhere else. I think the Panthers were smart to do this in free agency, Cody. Yep. I don't think the draft is the way to do it. I think that, yes, you can get a running back in the top 10 who will come in and destroy it. It could be a starter. But I think if you're talking 4th and 5th round running backs, 3rd, 4th, 5th round running backs, the learning curve, we don't need it. I'm excited about this. I think this rounds out that position group and makes it in a way that we can look in the draft. Hey, and the Panthers might be taking a wide receiver for all you know in the first 2 rounds.
Oh, dude, they could be taken better than a wide receiver. Like my man Jerome B says with the $5 C3 bomb, the greatest quarterbacks in history had their tight end. Tyler Warren.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Tommy
the pick. Tyler Warren should be the pick if available. And Tony, we're going to talk about this a little bit later because you're not going to like me in the coming weeks, brother. I'm here to tell you. I'm about to get on your nerves big time, brother. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's wrap up this running back conversation. This is Jonathan Stewart, our man who's been on the C3 Panthers podcast before, talking about setting the tone as a running back and what that means in his experience.
I look at what Chuba was this year. People rallied around that energy, right? A guy that can set the tone. One of my favorite memories of playing football is playing the Seattle Seahawks in the playoffs. And I was able to come back from injury, and first play of the game, we ran 55 stutter, A-gap play, bounce it, hit the A-gap, whatever it kind of like works out to be. Gap scheme play. And we hit it downhill, and I take off running. Tone setter. That's like, and I get up and I'm going crazy. And your offensive linemen see you do stuff like that. Yeah. Like, I mean, I celebrate over a 2-yard run as long as it was a first down, right? So, like, it's all about the energy. You can have all the best players on the team, but if the energy is not there, you're not really putting up a fight.
All right, good stuff there, James.
And we'll also tell you, I wanted to add on to it too, like what you were talking about with the compliment to Chuba and kind of what Chuba was asked to do. I think Rico Dowdle is literally the perfect back because he isn't that bell cow running back, but he doesn't need to be, even though he does have some of the abilities to be that. Remember, we've rewarded Chuba Hubbard in a big way, and rightfully so. He has gotten better.
He earned it.
He got better in every single regard, and we rewarded him for all those efforts and all the different coaching staff that he's been through. So to have these guys in the backfield, but also I like to look at all these pieces together and in context with one another, because last week we did talk about that we brought back Brady Christensen. We brought back Austin Corbett. We brought back Cade Mays. We now have continuity on the offensive line like we haven't had in a very long time. And I this was at the end of the show, but I'm going to bring it up now since it's sort of relevant to the conversation. No, that as of right now, the Carolina Panthers have the most expensive offensive line in the NFL. So if that's what you're doing, if you have the big bad core up front protecting Bryce and helping you run the football, then a signing like Rico Dowdle makes all the more sense. I love it. I think this is a good move. And I think this says a lot about the identity of our football team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that offensive line, I do want to show this. Hold on, let's see. Percent. I usually let Cody do all this. He's my man. Share screen. All right, let's see if this is it.
Hang on, let me put it up. Wait, let me take this down. StreamYard acts up sometime.
All right, let me know when to hit play.
All right, yeah, you're good.
Oh, by the way, Damian Lewis. This is one of our guards, bro. Putting up 325, 315. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Get 11. Oh, come on. Go to 12, bro. Go to 12. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Well,
strong,
keep in
Hey,
mind
dog,
he's
we
doing
out
that
here.
without a spotter too.
Yeah.
By the way,
I know, boy. I don't even need a squatter. Who needs a squatter when you got real dog strength like that?
315 pounds, 10 reps. He's the man. Look, and this is where I go back to that wide receiver conversation, dude. Is that like I know it's not as fun to talk about on the outside for a fan. I mean, and look, I'm not going to tell you how to fan. You fan how you want to fan, but it's the sexy. It's like sometimes it's like, oh, you got the girl that got the good makeup on and this and that, and like, but you know what? She don't really take care of you. She don't, she washes that makeup off. She got blemishes. We want a woman that's going to cook us a good plate of food sometimes. And that's what these offensive and defensive trenches do. Nothing wrong with somebody taking care of you, doing your laundry. You say thank you instead of being like, oh, look at how good I look with my duck lips beside you. But guess what I want to thank? I want to thank all the donations tonight. Very generous. We need y'all's help.
Man.
We don't ask for them, but we appreciate them. Kitty Lit Zero, a Carolina Panthers podcast. We wish you the best of success. We want to always help our fellow podcasters. Our conversation, rising tide lifts all boat. Y'all getting me through degreasing this grill right now. I appreciate y'all.
We appreciate you, man.
What is he? Is he working? He's either working at a restaurant or he went and bought one of them Blackstones.
Oh, aren't they awesome? Dude, dude, shout out to Kitty Lit. Dude, Kitty Lit's been in the chat room the past few weeks in a row. He's been a great contributor. Shout out to him. What an awesome contributor, man. And
$9.99. Really,
yes,
donations are a great way to help kind of get us.
Yeah, what we say is we never ask for them, but they're always appreciated. That helps us to do a bunch of cool new things when the season comes around. This past year was sort of an off season for us a little bit, but here in the next coming months and especially into this next season, C3 is kicking it into high.
I'm in the midst of getting divorced, guys. Give me a little.
You don't even need to tell them that. This next season,
have a house, dude. I don't even have a home.
Season, who cares? Next season, we're gonna put our balls on the forehead of the podcast game, and everybody's gonna know what's up with the C3 Panthers podcast. But another little a love bomb that we've been given from Cheshire Cat, who is another great contributor of the show. He brings up a great segue, which moves us into what we were going to talk about. I was foreshadowing a little bit earlier, Tone. He brings up, if you have to choose between the number one pick being our first round pick, being Ted McMillan or Tyler Warren. Oh, buddy, if you've been following me on Twitter, I'm a firm believer that no one upgrades the offense right now more than Tyler Warren. But before we do that, let's go to this wide receiver discussion, because as I mentioned earlier, there is a large contingent of Panther fans that are upset that the Panthers did not make a big splash free agent signing and this past offseason. And a lot of the speculation was that the Panthers were interested in trading for T. Higgins. Many people said that they even had sources in the organization that were doing everything in their power to try to get T. Higgins to Carolina. Alas, the Cincinnati Bengals swooped in, and not only did they pay Jamar Chase a giant buku contract, but T. Higgins also got broken off as well. The Bengals agreed to a 4-year, $161 million extension with Jamar Chase and a 4-year, $115 million extension with T. Higgins per the Schultz report. So this had Panther fans bumming out large, right? And we can talk about the implications of what that does from a team building perspective later. But this had a bunch of people moving on to the next best wide receiver option that could be available to us. Now, Tony, CK, you guys have sort of been checked out of the Twitter conversations, and I do not blame you. In fact, you have done a good thing for your own mental health. But many of Panther fans have fallen in love with one Teteroa McMillan, the wide receiver for Arizona State. A lot of fans really like him. But just recently, our very own Steve Smith made his opinion known on Teteroa McMillan, and he has sort of gotten, as he's ought to do, but he has kicked the hornet's nest a little bit because he has taken down the media darling that everyone speaks so highly of. So instead of me telling you, why don't I just let Steve Smith speak for himself and tell you what he thinks about Teteroa, and then we will comment right after this.
None of these players are finished products. None of us are finished products until they lay us in the dirt. However, this is an evaluation game, though.
Right now.
And the T-Mac evaluation for me, my humble opinion, is, yeah, he's a number one ranked wide receiver, but he's not the number one wide receiver. I think he leaves a lot of plays on the field.
Okay.
I don't think he has the ability to dominate like his size is. I think he's a jump ball guy, but I don't see his route tree being very elaborate.
I keep hearing when I ask around in this preliminary process, everybody keeps saying Drake London. I don't see that type of player, but I understand the comp.
Now,
all right, man. So
I don't think Steve Smith said anything that was even that critical.
No.
Right? Is that that media darling player don't overhype somebody right out the gate when they
right.
And this is, to be honest, that's what the nature of draft analysis is to overhype to this and that, and it actually creates an undue pressure and I guess expectation on a lot of these players. So
and the GMs.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to keep in mind, you've got to draft, you're not just drafting to win, you're drafting to excite a fan base. And if a fan base has been sold on a player that you think is going to be the guy, like I think a lot of times there's pressure on a GM to get somebody who's going to market well for the team. And so, yeah, I don't disagree. I agree. I think that Steve Smith is absolutely, he says some things that I think that are relevant. I haven't watched anything about this kid, but I don't think anything he said says that the guy can't be good. He just said what he thinks, what most GMs probably are, do when they're evaluating people.
Dude.
So this is the conversation, Tony, that we've been having, because you know me, I love to start shit on Twitter. I've been calling out this notion that everybody all of a sudden loves Tet McMillan. And I'm sorry, but if your criticism of the Panthers wide receiver room is that we don't have enough pure route running separators for Bryce Young, then how in the hell does Tet McMillan change things right away? This is a raw player who is used to using his size advantage over everyone. He doesn't have to be a good route runner because he's so good as a contested jump ball receiver. So in my mind, asking him to be able to make an immediate impact in the NFL, that's asking too much of him right now. That's not to say that he couldn't be a great player in the future, but just like we had growing pains this year with Xavier Leggett, you're definitely going to have those same growing pains with Tet McMillan because he's not going to be able to just play bully ball in the NFL down in and down out.
You know what? This is college, dude. This is college. This isn't NFL. So if you're bullying people in college, I don't care. before we get to that, because
that's my point. You're not going to do this in the NFL.
Yeah, and that's like you got to be. And I tell you this is that, and I don't know if this was the player you were talking about, where I peeped on your Twitter, or it got recommended to me today when I was looking for stuff for the show, and it was like, it's like his 40 time was faster than people thought. Was it?
Well, no. So there was an unconfirmed rumor that he ran. They said that he ran a 4.48 in a private workout. So, but again, it was just a private workout. Then apparently now other people have come out and said that they've timed him in the 4.55 to 4.56, 5.7 range. So you're talking about a 4.5 speed receiver, not exceptionally fast.
No, you're not Tyreek,
but not top 15 either.
6'4", 215
you look fast in college. It's one thing, right? Because you're a fast player, and there's a few other fast players on the field, but then there's a lot of average and mid speed players. So you look faster. When you get to the NFL and you run a 4.4, you don't look as fast as you did before. That's why 4.6 isn't
true.
So I'm not sitting here going, look at the speed, look at this. I don't know. I'll have to look more about it. And my last point about Steve Smith is that he's off and on when it comes to who he loves, when it comes to wide receiver, who he doesn't. He's been right. He's been wrong. He's been wrong on a lot.
He's been wrong a lot. Yeah.
A lot on these things. So look, I appreciate his opinion. I don't think he said anything wrong. I do want to go ahead and hit this because somebody said, look, super chat begets super chat.
Yeah,
C3 man. Bomb begets super chat. C3 bomb. And C3 member begets C3 member. Cody. CK, you got the pipes ready?
Sure.
Let's welcome Will Horsley, who I believe has been
he talked about it right after he joined. He said that he had forgot to change over his card when he got a new card from his bank. So what we will do is we will welcome you back to the C3 Super Fan Club, Mr. Will Horsley.
Oh, but we're not done, CK, because we have another returning member, one of the goats of the chat.
With a 20-month membership anniversary, Kristen Butler said, appreciate y'all at C3.
Yes, sir. Antonio, like you said, super chats. We get more super chats. Thank you to Panthers Anonymous for the $9.99 C3
Thank you to his buddy.
Yeah, man, watch it with my buddy and decided to keep the super chat momentum going. Like we said, we never asked for it, but it's appreciated each and every single time. Tony, listen.
Hold on. Before we move on, I do want to remind everybody that the C3 Panthers podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Grab your phone right now. Get your dancing shoes. It's time to make entries on March college basketball with Underdog. Nothing beats March Madness, March basketball. Bring the fun of a bracket to every game by making entries on Underdog. Look, I'm popping up Underdog right now, and guess what I'm remembering? That Major League Baseball starts tomorrow in Japan. Shohei Ohtani, I think we can get right now, or maybe it started this morning, actually. Maybe it's go to. You can get Shohei Ohtani, 9.5 fantasy points. Will he hit a home run on his debut? Higher will pay out 1.75, lower 0.67. You can get in on hockey right now. The Canes are doing great. They're putting up points. You might as well go ahead and start putting some money on that. These mugs are going to be excited going into the playoffs. And college basketball, man, there is nothing better than next weekend when you get that first weekend of college basketball. All you got to do is download the app Underdog Fantasy, and to play, you just choose whether a player will go higher or lower on one of their stats. You pair that with somebody else. You do it on points, assists, rebounds, shots taken, saves made, right? Or you can do something cool like Jimmy Butler right now, who's with Golden State. You can do points, assists, and rebounds. You can play with as little as $1. And if you get everything right with that $1, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. So Turn $1 into $1,000 with your hoops, hockey, baseball knowledge. We've had a great time playing Underdog Fantasy Daily Sports. What you need to do is download the Underdog app and sign up using the promo code C3P to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus credits when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with the promo code C3P. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus credits instantly upon first deposit. You must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Void where prohibited. Terms apply. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Cody Lack, Underdog is sticking with us through March, I believe. We've been having fun there. They can help us continue to grow this podcast by making money by using that promo code C3P. White Chocolate Espresso, My Bastard Son, member, 2 years. He said, from boys to men, from Cox to Panthers, SC to NC, the South Carolina Panthers. We'll have that covered later in the show. Cody, I think it's time for us to take some calls.
I think that is a wonderful idea. If you would like your voice to be heard on the longest running Panthers podcast in the history of the internet, well, then you can do so. Leave a message on our Cat Calls line at 252-228-5098. We're building an incredible discussion with the C3 Legion. Tony Dunn, let's take some calls.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Podcast brothers, how y'all doing? It's G Cavassier. Hey, I'm going to get this out of the way. Carolina, please pick Tyler Warren at the number 8 pick. Cody, you sold me on this dude. I looked up his highlights. Oh, my God, man. This dude is a beast, man. Beast. I seen him run the ball. He can catch really good, too, man. And I seen that we just re-signed Moore, so Moore is coming back. And, you know, people online are bitching and complaining and everything about this and about that, about trying to get a number 1 wide receiver. But let me tell the so-called Panther fans out there one thing. Y'all go back in time. In 2003, we went to the Super Bowl. Who was the number 1 receiver? We didn't have a number 1 receiver in 2003. No, it wasn't Steve Smith, and no, it wasn't Muhsin Muhammad. Then, let's take it to 2015. We didn't have a number 1 wide receiver in 2015, which, by the way, was the best record the Panthers ever had. So, not having a number 1 wide receiver, you know, is an advantage because people don't know who the hell to double or who to look out for and everything like that. Then on top of that, with the receivers that we had last year, we have this year. All them phony fans out there, understand this shit, man. We took the Kansas City Chiefs to the fucking wire. We took the Philadelphia Eagles, who are the Super Bowl champs, to the fucking wire with the damn receivers we got now. So stop all that daggone. We need a number one wide receiver. And me personally, I ain't throwing no shade on nobody. I'm not feeling that boy from Arizona. I'm really not. I mean, if we pick him at 8, okay, I'll roll with it, but I'm not really sold on him.
Jeez, out here preaching, bro.
Dude, so good with the damn fucking Panthers, man.
You're out here
God.
preaching,
Give me a thoughts on that, y'all. Keep pounding.
My man G. Cavassier is out here preaching.
Doing?
Nope, I thought
Hey, I'm going to get this.
Appreciate you, G. Tony, look, I told you this. You're going to have to just get annoyed with me, brother. I know you don't want to draft a tight end in the first round. And look, I'll even give you another argument against why this is a deep tight end draft. So maybe you could get a tight end later and still have a great player. But Tony, I need you to have a little bit of vision here. We know for a fact that the New England Patriots have won multiple Super Bowls running those vicious tight end sets. You yourself, hold on. You have also been a fan of the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens have also been very successful running 2 tight end sets. When you have a game changer of a tight end for a young quarterback, that is a weapon unlike no other. This dude is a unit to tackle. He is incredibly mean in the run game. The dude blocks like an offensive lineman. Tony, you cannot teach 6'6", 265 pounds jumping over dudes like our boy Tommy Tremble does.
Would be like this. It's like, can we practice our hurdles today after practice?
I love it. Tony, listen, I understand that you don't like the idea of a tight end. I'm asking you to realize that Penn State was one of the best teams in football this year, and pretty much the entirety of their offense ran through Tyler Warren. They put him on the line and made him a run blocker. They were able to get him down the seam. He is an incredible jump ball receiver. He doesn't drop anything. He's also targeted a ton across the middle of the field, which is where Bryce Young thrives. Look, let me preface this with my actual opinion, right? If the Panthers can trade back, that is to me the best option that we could do, because a lot of the options feel a lot better and more valuable in the teens opposed to the top 10. However, what I'm telling you, Tony, is that if your mission is to come away with a premier player that is going to be a major part of our team for years to come with the 8th overall pick, you are doing that in drafting a prospect like Tyler Warren. And my final point is that the tight end that went last year to the Raiders, whose name is escaping me right now, of course. Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers had literally an incredible year last year, and a lot of people are high on that Raiders offense because they have a guy like Brock Bowers. To me, if we're going offense at 8, boys, this is indeed the move.
I don't know that we've made the moves on defense for me to feel like we should go offense out of the gate. Yeah. Like if we go offense, 100% I agree with you. I think this is the move. I don't think I think our wide receiver core, people might think that our wide receiver core is not very good. I think that we have probably one of the more solid ones based on what we saw last year. And if Bryce Young can continue to show what he showed at the end of last year, I think that it's worth keeping those guys intact, as clearly our front office believes in that as well. But so outside of that, if we're going offense, 100%, this is the pick that I would choose 100% of the time. But we still have to acknowledge that we had the worst defense in the history of the NFL. And while we had some pretty solid depth pieces, we haven't really addressed a lot of the major issues that we have. We might have gotten some safety help. We might have gotten some interior line help or what have you, but we still have a glaring need at linebacker, and we have a glaring need at somebody who is a consistent edge rusher. And so I'd say, if I'm Dan Morgan, I'm going defense just based on the fact that we haven't addressed that enough in free agency for me to feel comfortable enough going offense at number 8.
I'm going to tell you this, is that the way to not sell me on the pick is to remind me he's a tight end. And to say that it's in the top, to me, it's the top 15, Cody, that is like for tight ends. It's like, I just feel like you should be using top 15 picks in those positions that are just the premier positions. So it's kind of like picking a nickel corner in the top 15. You're like, ugh. You're like, oh, there's a good player, but or running, I mean, those are the concerns historically I've had about this. I think the other thing is that we get so fixated on, oh, well, we had this guy do this, so that we're just going to replicate, and then you just expect. I go back to OJ Howard. I was hyped about him, and it was just like, come on, cautious here. One thing I do like about this player, though, is that he looks like a tight end.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like, oh, where somebody brought up Kyle Pitts, and it's like he's a receiving tight. This is like he is a tight end that can do it all. I do like that. I would feel a lot better about this being trade back material and getting it right. Yeah. And the last point I will make about this, the one way you could sell me on this pick is to say, which one of those tapes did I like better, that wide receiver or that?
But that's so. Look, that was literally
if you
the
want
point.
to add a weapon for Bryce Young, maybe that weapon isn't always just the best or a top receiver in that class.
That was the point of Cheshire Cat here too. If you have to choose between Ted McMillan or Tyler Warren, my point is that Tyler Warren is ready to go right now. Keep in mind some of the other things that we just mentioned, Tony. We talked about adding Rico Dowd. We talked about securing literally all of our offensive line depth from last year, including Yosh Nijman, who we're going to talk about kind of briefly. We might as well talk about it now. We're bringing back Yosh Nijman. We have the entire depth of the offensive line. You have Chuba Hubbard coming back. You've signed Rico Dowd. Also, remember that it's not just Tyler Warren that we're talking about. And I know y'all have heard me say this before. Think back to those days with Greg Olsen and Jeremy Shockey. Those two tight end sets allowed you to be incredibly versatile and do a ton of things from both the passing game and the running game. So don't just think about. Just think about.
You can get in a 2 tight end set and it doesn't.
Yes, and they don't know if you're
the ball.
Right. They don't know if you're.
You go 2 tight end set, you're adding offensive linemen, and it's like indicating. But if you can make it an offensive, like a duplicity. I'll finish this is that I just don't forget about.
But my last point, though, that's my point. That's what I was going to say, Tony, is that you're not just thinking about Tyler Warren. You're thinking about him in tandem with Jadavion Sanders, who we already like a lot, who was already more advanced as a run blocker last year than many of us expected him to be. This can be a nightmare duo for a long time to come. And like my man JD says, quite literally plug and play. That's what he does for us.
Let's take some more calls. I do agree with CK, though, is that but look, is that again, I like the idea of a guy that looks the part. And that is that that's a tight end. That dude is a tight end. He's not a receiver. He's not a kind of tight end.
He's not one of these people that are going to play 3 different positions. Like he could be out of the backfield, or he's going to be like, he is your tight end. He looks like a guy who is going to be able to block, and he looks like a guy who's going to be able to catch, and he's going to make guys miss. And that's exciting.
Let's keep rolling with these calls. The number's 252-228-5098. You guys give us the greatest conversation to build on. Thank you for your time, attention, and your input. Let's go, Cody.
Let's roll.
CK, Tony Dunn, Cody Lack, the C3 Legion. What up, boys? This the Hope Dealer checking in real quick. Hey, so for every bit of 1 week, J.C. Horn was the highest paid DB in the league. But there's already a new champion, Derek Stingley Jr., now the highest paid defensive back in the league. Hey, check this out, boys. I was thinking about something, though. So think about it. J.C. Horn was a Pro Bowl player last year with the worst defensive line in the league. For everybody that thinks that we overpaid for J.C. Horn, the market's already been reset. He's no longer the highest paid. But not only that, think about it. He's invested here in Carolina, and going into this year, with if he was a Pro Bowl player with the worst defensive line in the entire NFL by a long shot, just imagine what he gonna be able to do, as well as Mike Jackson, with even a decent defensive line that could get after the quarterback. That's gonna take so much pressure off of J.C. Horn and Mike Jackson and our safeties by having a good front seven. They might not be elite, but if they're good and they can rush the passer, man, that's gonna make them shoot. J.C. might be all pro and Mike Jack might be Pro Bowl. But anyway, I was thinking about that, boys. Give me your thoughts. You know, once again, this the Hope Dealer checking in. Everybody out there, keep pounding.
Fantastic point. Thank you so much, Hope Dealer, for your
love the Hope Dealer, man.
Continued support in the calls. What I love about this call is that you're thinking about, or he's raising awareness to, like, that's what he did with that, what was in front of him. I continue to go back to thinking about Luke Kuechly, thinking about those great linebackers. And while they were great, they were greater when they were great players in front of them. Right? It's like do you remember that year that we said Luke Kuechly looked human a little bit? And it was like, are we watching him? And I think it might have been his final season. It might have been the season before. I can't remember. And he still was awesome. Like, it felt terrible to say, oh, is he mortal? Right? But what it was is that you saw what happened when they didn't have any defensive tackle. And he couldn't play the star ball, the freedom ball that he was able to play when he could trust players in front of him. And you got to think about that with a corner or with anybody. I think it's a great point to where, man, as you improve the unit, the stars will shine more. And I think this is that you got to pay to play, baby. You got to pay to play. I don't care if they got injuries, this or that. You could be scared. You could be this and that. You cannot buy that house because you're worried. You're worried that there's something on the inspection. But guess what? You might not have a home to live in.
And listen, there's a bunch of other corners that need to be signed. So Derek Stingley, they signed him early. So they got ahead of the curve and said, look, we know what's coming down the pipe. And they saw what happened to J.C. Horn. Houston said that we might as well pay this dude now.
Is this not the smartest of moves?
This is what you need to do. But this is why it was also such a good thing that the Panthers extended JC, because we knew that this was coming. I was on the Friday free-for-all multiple Fridays in a row, literally screaming at people saying, you have to do this now. The nature of the business is that the salary cap is driving the prices up and up and up. You have to pay to play.
Did we not say they should have done it in the middle of the season?
They should. And I remember you were saying this with Brian Burns beforehand, before it got too expensive. But this is the main thing. And I feel like the injuries probably hampered things. And maybe we would have done it even sooner if those injuries weren't present, Tony. But as of right now, Derek Stingley Jr. is $89 million over 3 years. Pat Surtain, PS2, is $77.5 million over 4 years, and J.C. Horn is only $72 million over 4 years. So not only did we do a great deal, not only did J.C. get a little bit of that I love you money, but we have a deal. Dude, shout out to Brant Tillis and his addition to this team, man. They are kicking ass. And I do have Cam Newton. If you would like to hear
Cam Newton talking about the J.C. Horn extension.
Yep.
The money right there is a perennial all-pro. That's Revis Island type of number. I lock shit down. And that's not to say that he can't.
I mean, that's a little generous, but
Horn is his upside is.
I think he means the numbers that you paid him is Darrelle Revis numbers.
Through the roof. He's not only tall, rangy, but he also can cover anybody on the field, wherever on the field. And that's rare. I will say this again. You got to spend the money, Peggy.
That's it. You got to spend the money.
Players. J.C. Horn is the best player in Carolina.
And I've been saying that shit forever. That a healthy,
Well, we're only saying that
a
'cause Derek
healthy
Brown on
JC
the
Horn.
field last year.
No, what I'm saying is a healthy JC Horn probably is the best, most talented player up and down the entire team. JC
No,
Horn
Derek Brown.
is like
It's
that.
Derek
No,
Brown.
I would say
Derek
All right,
Brown.
chat. How about this? I'm about to put up a poll. Chat. Who would you say is a more talented, pure player?
No, don't
Horn
quantify
or
it.
Derek
With,
Brown?
no, don't quantify
You have
it
to.
with
They play
pure
different
player
positions.
because you're like laboratory experiments. Just put who is the best, the most talent. What you want to say, most talented or best player? Best
Well,
player.
that's why I mean you have to compare the two.
And I think it's this: is who is the best player? Derek Brown.
Who is
or
a better
JC?
player? Okay, I'm gonna put up a poll. Give me a
Best
second.
player, not better, best, because both can be like we don't compare each other. I'm just saying that look, and I'm trying to influence this poll right now, is that we didn't see Derek Brown last year because of an injury, and JC Horn had his first full year and he made the Pro Bowl. Right. So it's not like a Brown had his full year and his best year, and Horn had his best year. Right. Like, because then you could have had this conversation, which we did have the conversation. Is Brown the best player on the team? And then we would say Horn. Right. And you were like injured. And, so you don't ever get to see it side by side. Different players, different position groups also makes it a hard comparison. Apples and oranges are both still fruits, though. And my final point just for this, and we'll take another call. Cam said, you got to pay to play, right? You got to pay the players. I think this is that when you draft those players, especially with a guy like JC Horn, who had some struggles with injury in the beginning, you invested so much in him, is right when he's starting to show the signs of who the player he was, or, like, this is the guy, to let him walk would be selling your investment in a panic. Is like, and I don't know if I don't want to go too much into like a stock market analogy or something, but like if a stock goes down, there's a difference between what is it, CK, is like a sunk cost. There's a difference between sunk cost,
sunk fallacy cost.
Yeah, but sunk, like is like you're holding on to it because you lost. And there's another thing because you're holding on to it because you invested in it for a reason.
Yeah. It's most people you'll find that at least from a stocks perspective, you make more money by holding on to the stock long term than you do by being somebody who sells in a panic.
You only lose when you sell it, right?
Yeah. Well, that's if you're down, right? If it goes up and you sell at that point in time,
but then you win.
You certainly do win, but how much do you win, right? So many can look at our Christian McCaffrey situation and say that we won that because we ended up getting a pretty good amount of draft picks, got rid of a pretty enormous contract off the books, even though we were eating some of that. So, I mean, some people would look at that as though we didn't lose that trade. Whereas after he had a year or two under the, Kyle Shanahan regime, it was pretty clear that we lost that. And so long term, we would have been better off holding on to it.
We don't know either because he also is having the same injury problems now.
Even if we had him for those 2 years, I think that we would have it was worth them. What they traded for him, he was worth it for a year and a half of productivity.
Oh, totally. I think though, even to bring the Christian analogy back into this conversation would be like, it would have been better for you to have extended Christian McCaffrey before the 1,000 season than after. If you know he's that player, you believe in him as that.
We did it with Cam.
I think it was go back and check the tape on this. It was a great move. Then people were upset.
But,
I think
you have to choose the right time because that player might say, "Nah, I don't want to sign that because you're trying to pay me based off of what I've done."
Nah, they won't. They won't.
Nah, bullshit. Josh Norman did that. A lot of players are.
Players don't do that because they know this, Cody. They know that if they're offering, they can sit out.
Not true.
They can do different things.
If they're being offered,
than two in the bush.
If they're being offered middle of the road money. And look, I mean, it's a calculated bet, but for some players, it works out. If they feel like that's undervalued compared to what they feel they're worth, they might decide to put that down and
You
play
think if
another
you
year
gave
up their numbers.
If you
That
gave
definitely
JC
happens
Horn,
before.
no, just think about this. In November of last year, October of last year, if you offer JC Horn a similarly structured deal, but it was 64 and guaranteed rather than 75 and guaranteed,
He's running with it.
he's taking it.
It depends
They
on
are.
the market.
No,
It
I
depends
know there are
who's
some
getting
wild
paid
people that will
and
bet
what
on
around.
themselves. There are wild. I mean, it's not wrong. I mean, it's okay to bet on yourself, bro. But like you're talking about 64, and I know that doesn't seem like that's how you position yourself to save 10 million against the cap. And yeah, you might get a more disgruntled player when they outplay their contract, but you're also, if you would have gone to JC Horn in October of last year and said, look, injuries, flukish, we believe in you, we want to extend you, we want to make you a record-setting contract right now, basically. 64, you know he's taking it. He's taking it. He should take it. He would be silly not to take it.
I don't know. I think they want to prove him healthy, and he wants to prove.
I think that was a mistake. I think they knew they were going to sign. I think when you know this, if you're an organization and you know you want to sign the person, who cares if it's now or in 6 months?
But that's the thing, though. They didn't know that they wanted to sign him until they saw him healthy last year. They needed to see him play more of a sample size before they paid him that money. And by the way, JC wanted to play a full sample size so that way they can actually see him what he does in the year. Him changing, dude, him changing his physical training regime and what he does to prepare in the offseason. I really do think that's paid dividends in terms of how his body stays healthy. I did put a poll in the chat: which player is better, JC Horn over Derek Brown? And the track record so far of Derek Brown is strong. We have 84% to 15% for JC Horn.
These are educated Panther fans.
We might need to do this in the. I love Derek Brown too, but I'm just saying, and I feel like in a couple of years, everybody's going to continue to talk how JC Horn is
only
him.
because it's
Let's
flashy,
take
bro.
another call. We have a bunch of them, so let's roll
go.
through.
Let's go.
Let's White Chocolate Espresso.
Oh, now you want to roll.
That's right. Slacking off. Whatever. 12-hour shift. First things first. How about all the Panthers at South Carolina's Pro Day? How about that? They said there was lots of guys on the defensive side of the Panthers there. A lot of personnel looking at our defense from South Carolina. Whoo, yeah. You just signed David Morris. That tells me I don't think we drafted a receiver at 8. You know, I think trade back with the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys want Gentry. I think he might fall to 8. If that happens, trade back with the Cowboys. Maybe get that extra second. I think they have the 44th pick in the second round, or maybe something extra next year. You know, but trade back, get Nick Amori at safety. My God, that guy's a fucking beast. Are you kidding me? Show the highlights, Cody. I sent them to you. We also got edges. We need edges. You know, we need some edges. Our edges are old. Clowney old. Want him. He's in mid. You know, mid-age. You got Kenyard, SEC Defensive Player of the Year. We got some defensive tackles. We need some younger ones, maybe. We got some corners. We got linebackers.
That Kenyard kid is nasty.
South Carolina Panthers. Trade back. Load up this defense, baby. And XL will ride us as receiver 1.
He's trying to be my real son.
He is receiver 1. I told you we ain't getting those other guys. XL, receiver 1. Coker, receiver 2. Adam Thielen, receiver 3. Peace.
Dude, that Kenyard player, he's nasty.
What player are you talking about?
The defensive, he's an edge. I think he's an edge rusher for them. He's gonna probably, I don't know. I don't keep up.
He's not coming out this year though, right?
Ooh, I don't know. I'm gonna have to, Kev, if you're still in there, let me know. But he's gonna be one of those players that's like, I think a second or third round pick. That's gonna be like, you're gonna come back and be like, this mug was awesome, game changer. Is he coming out this year, Kev? He said yes. I don't know. I don't know if he said yes to my question or yours. But that guy is nasty. I'm telling you, game wrecker. But one of those players, too, I think Brian Burns was like this, drafted too much on what they could, like young, this and that, light in the pants. I think I want to see somebody. I want the Panthers to get a guy in the third that should have been a first.
Well, that's what we have the potential to do.
JD says Kenyard is leaving this year. And also nod to South Carolina Gamecocks and my bastard son who is doing everything to make me acknowledge him as a legitimate son. Is y'all's quarterback is Baby Cam. He really Baby Cam. That mug, he was a true freshman this year. Watch this. In 2 years, that mug's going to be toast of the town. Cody, talk about this or let's take the next call.
No, we're going to talk about this. So the Carolina Panthers, they have shown a bunch of interest, as they always do, in these South Carolina players, man. I put it up on screen. It really does feel like there's like a pipeline now, man. And as much as I hate it, dude, if South Carolina is going to continue to put out these fucking freak show athletes and make me pull for these fucking cocks, I hate it, dude. Whoa. I hate it. But also, we got to continue to win or else it's not a good look. This is Nick Emmon. By the way, no one's going to be able to say his name right for a long time. Nick Emmon-Wari. This is him talking about the Carolinas.
The officials here, obviously, there's a big history with the program and everything. Have you paid attention to the guys that have gone to Carolina, and also have you stayed in contact with X and JC and all those guys?
Always, man. X and JC, those are my guys. I talk to them almost every other week, every month. But the Panthers, man, they had a huge impact on this right here. I mean, we just got Rico Dowed, so they're building a Gamecock squad up there. And hopefully, they come pick me up too. But
have you talked to JC since he signed this extension?
Yeah. I talked to him right when he signed it. He said, "Dinner's on you."
So just to sort of give you a little bit of update on who Nick Emmon-Wari is, dude, he was incredible at the combine. 6'3", 220 pounds. Finished the 2024 season with 88 total tackles, 4 interceptions, 2 pass deflected, and he ran a 4.38 40-yard dash at the NFL Combine at 6'3", 220 pounds.
That's a real deal. Fucking
this dude is a bruiser.
JC be like, "Oh shit, there's somebody that looks better than me in the locker room."
Dude, the dude is. Dude, this is what I want to know to all the Gamecocks fans, and I'm not even just talking shit. I am a little bit, but why do y'all have so many high caliber freak athlete players, and y'all don't ever win shit, bro?
Stop that.
Y'all don't ever win shit. Y'all never win shit. Why? Y'all have all these damn good players just to watch them go to the NFL to be good for NFL teams.
Because you get them sprinkled at
positions, bro.
You get them sprinkled at positions, but now they got that Sellers kid, and they're going to put them, all of a sudden, it's all going to come together.
Hey, Chester, don't feel bad for me, brother. My college team has championships.
Y'all suck.
My college team has real championships. I don't know about y'all.
Bro, y'all were trash before that.
I'll let South Carolina continue to put out good players for my Panthers, but until then, they're not winning shit. And
how about this? Put up a poll on this one. Do C3 Panther fans, the Legion, do they want us ever to draft a Clemson player?
Dude, how about this? Who gives
we don't.
What they think?
Let's take another call.
Who gives a shit? And While I put up a call, I'll play some highlights from him. But yeah, let me go to another one.
Hey guys, it's Chuck from Elizabeth City. As we approach this draft and looking at certain players, and I really do think we definitely need to take defense on our first pick in the first round. And having a second round pick and a third and a couple of fourths, I believe we can answer a lot of positions. Another running back, I believe we can definitely hit a linebacker, a defensive back, a safety, a corner and a safety, I should say. A defensive, like I said, an edge rusher / linebacker. And I think we can hit all these needs and maybe even a wide receiver in the middle of the round to see what we can get. The one thing I want to say, since we've got really free agencies kind of fizzled down, there's one player we've had on our roster that I guess is a free agent. I'm glad we re-signed Christensen, and I see we're bringing David Moore back. But there's one guy I really like his game, and he's been here since Rule was here, and that's Sam Franklin. I think as a special teams captain, as a guy that he's just got a good attitude I like for him to have. I haven't heard anything about him signing with anybody else or him signing with us, and I guess he's still a free agent. But I'd definitely like the guy to come back, even if it's on a 1 or 2 year deal. I just think he has something that, until we beef up this roster, he's definitely somebody we can use, especially if he stays healthy. And I just wanted to see if you guys had any whereabouts on where Sam Franklin might be.
I'm not sure, Chuck. Also, great to have you sticking with us through the show, man. Great fan, great caller to the podcast. I love when the greats drop in, right? So Chuck from Elizabeth City is definitely one of those. Sam Franklin is one of those players I think that we all gravitate to, right? Maybe a later round draft pick. I don't remember off the top of my head where he came in, but he's always – look, is this one thing for fans to get hype, like the Panther Twitter to get hype over somebody or this and that, but like the Sam Franklin he's done shit. He's made plays. He's done it in every way. Like he's got limited opportunities when he's played on defense, but when he has played on defense, he hasn't been terrible. And I know that I hope that doesn't. I wasn't meaning for that to be a diss, but a young player, blah blah blah, getting thrust into the fire. You're sitting there going, man, this guy did enough. Did more than enough. Special teams, I agree. Sam Franklin is a guy that you want on your team. I'm not sure where the Panthers are at with him, Cody, but he's a guy. He's one of those stories. I always think of like because I'm a curmudgeon when it comes to the draft and all of this, and like everybody's like Jordan Scarlett's going to be the fucking best thing ever. And I was like, fuck that. Cameron Artis-Payne, greatest run back, never was. But Sam Franklin is one of those names that late and has found a way to be noticeable for us.
Yeah, I mean, I like Sam Franklin. There was a few times that he was at the butt of jokes on a few plays.
Yeah, but he's a baby. He was a baby in a tough position.
Yeah, but also it's like he doesn't do shit for me either. You know what I mean? Like, okay, he's Sam Franklin.
Okay,
whatever. Like, I don't care at all about I'm not even trying to shit on the dude, but it's like, to me, he's just another serviceable depth piece. He is not the answer at any position.
No, not an answer, but an asset. An answer, not an answer, but an asset. I think of who's the guy from Carolina that played safety. He's always active on Panthers Twitter. He went to the Chargers. Come on, everybody knows him. 2015 draft.
The safety from
UNC.
Oh, you fucking
Come on. How do I not know his name? He's always yapping in a good way.
Oh, safety. I thought you were talking tight end. Like, what the fuck?
Trey Boston. Trey Boston. Yeah. All right. So Trey Boston is Sam Franklin.
He wasn't drafted in 2015, was he?
Yeah. Or 2014. I think it was 2015.
No, I don't think it was 15.
It was 2014 then. All right, but the point that I'm saying is Trey Boston was and look, I don't mean this in disrespect, Trey. Like, I mean, because like I ain't played in the NFL. I can't do none of that shit. So me calling you an average NFL player seems like a diss, right? But Trey Boston was a good player when he was on good teams. Like when he had good guys around him. He was an average player. I think Josh Norman was a lot like this. It's like when you got good players, like you can thrive. I think Sam Franklin is a player like that. It's like, is he not a guy? He's not the guy. But when you put him in a unit that has some guys, he can make plays. And he can be an asset. So I like the call. Let's go to the next one.
Yeah, man.
2016. That can't.
No, there's no way because
before that he was
on the 2015 team. Yeah. All right, let's go to Anthony from Charlotte.
Yo, what's up, C3? It's Anthony from
What's
Charlotte.
up, Ant?
Hope y'all boys are having a great Tuesday, man. Free agency, we're slowly creeping towards the draft. Who knows what could happen? Anything could happen. Maybe there's a move to be made here and there. I have no idea. But what I do know, man, I took a look at all these contracts, and dude, Brant Tillis is a genius. I mean, this team is set up for the future, man. Like, every player we signed is up for like 2 players under the age of 30 years old. The cap flexibility is off the charts, man. There's a lot of stuff we can do going forward. And if we, can get better as a team and show players like free agents that this can become a winning destination, like that's essentially this year, man. We got to win those close games that we didn't win last year. Because of the defense, because of the offense, it was a mixture of both. But yeah, man, I like the direction the front office has us going in, as opposed to the draft. I know there's a lot of talk about weapons and stuff. See, this is essentially why I'm just going to hold out. I don't know. They could always, draft trades happen. We're not even in April yet. They could go out and they could trade for a guy. You don't know. But I don't know if I'm completely buying what everyone's putting down about we're going to take a weapon at 8. I think Dan is very easy to read. He's not a good poker player, just like Scott Fitter wasn't either. But Scott Fitter intentionally told you what you were doing at the time, even though if it sounded stupid. But that's not the point. The point is that I still think that they're going to take an edge rusher at pick 8. I think it logically makes sense, but not at pick 8. I'm retracting my statement. I think they should trade back and get an edge rusher because I think you can nab another second-round pick potentially, and the more picks for teams that fill holes, the better. Like in Jalen Walker, you could trade back to like pick 11 and get him still. Then maybe recoup a second-round pick if someone's really wanting a player that is considered like really high on their board and they're afraid they're not going to be able to get them. So I think these are all things to consider. And yeah, I mean that's really all I got to say. I mean it's kind of a wait and see game. I saw we re-signed David Moore. Yay! I mean, essentially, I'm just. These weapons don't throw me. But it is what it is, man. It's just my opinions. So, you guys know the deal. Give me your thoughts. I really want to know what.
Oh, was that the end of his call? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, he's on to, I agree with the trade back scenario. I think, I don't know that any one player picked at 8 is going to be such a massive game changer for us that we can't find value by having 3 extra picks by trading back. You know what I mean? Like we're still going to get a first round caliber talent. Even if that means trading back to a mid part of the first round, 15, 16. I don't know if I'd feel comfortable trading back to the 20s or anything along those lines, but it depends upon what we're getting. If we're getting a first round next year on top of another second this year, then I'm certainly open to that. But if we're trading back from 8 to 14 and we're getting an extra second round this year, I think that's certainly worth having a conversation about, especially if you have enough players on the board to where you feel like all the pieces that you need filled are going to be available to you. Then yeah, absolutely, there's no reason not to.
And I'm not in the know when it comes to the draft, but I have not been, just in my brief glancing over it, looked and said or heard that these are these guys that are changers, like you have to have.
Yeah.
At 8, that if you don't get this guy, you're going to be wrecked, in a sense, is what I've actually heard. And it's just basically from the people in the chat, from our callers, and from a little bit of inadvertent information I get from Cody, is that there are some really good players at the top, but there's a depth to the draft that's kind of sneaky to it. Is that there are good players out there.
Yeah.
And look, it's not like and we don't have a top 5 pick. A top 5 pick, you get one of the best player in the draft.
Yeah. Tony, I would argue that even a top 10 pick, you should be walking away with a fucking stud.
You should.
And a day 1 starter, unless you're drafting a quarterback to bench.
Think about this: Derek Brown, J.C. Horn. Those are the players you're getting there. And I'm not saying they're not great players. I'm just saying, hey, is there a guy at 16 that you could get and a guy at 33 that you could get? I like this idea, and I've always been a proponent of trading back when we were not trying to get a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to it. I don't think if you are in love with a player, then pick them. What do you got for us?
So, Tony CK, this is Cody Lashley's lay of the land of the 2025 NFL draft as it stands right now. And of course, things change, man. A lot happens between now and the end of April. But as of right now, there's only 2 players that I'm really in love with taking at the 8th overall pick. And that really becomes the story of this draft, that when we're picking at 8, kind of what you just said, Tony, if you're picking in a certain range, you're expecting a difference maker right away. They're a top 10 pick for a reason. And a lot of these guys that are hovering around this range all have these factors that sort of makes you pause a little bit and wonder about their value in the top 10. For my money, there's only 2 players that would make me sit there at 8 and pick them. Number 1 is Mason Graham. And Daniel Jeremiah just put out a brand new mock draft, and he had Mason Graham falling all the way to the Panthers. Most mock drafts, just so we're clear, do not have Mason Graham falling past the Jacksonville Jaguars. They also need defensive help. They could also take a left tackle. If they decided to take Will Johnson, the left tackle from LSU, then that would mean a player like Mason Graham could potentially fall for us or to us. So like what Anthony was saying, I do think they want to build this defense through the draft. I think Mason Graham is the best player that they could make if they wanted to do so. Putting Graham next to Derek Brown would be absolutely nasty. And like what Daniel Jeremiah says, the Panthers came up a little short in their pursuit of Milton Williams in free agency, but they get another chance to bolster the interior defensive line by selecting Graham. He would be a key addition for a defense that ranked last in yards and points allowed last season. So this dude is a monster. He's a former collegiate wrestler. He's just a Billy Badass all up and down the field. 1B, like I already told you, is Tyler Warren. I don't believe there is any offensive player that you could draft at 8 that makes as much of a difference for this team on offense right now than Tyler Warren. No, I don't think there's any chance Tyler Warren's there at 17. However, that's why I'm saying, though, if neither of those 2 players are available and there is a chance there is no better option available to the Carolina Panthers than trading back, try to get another first round pick in 2026. The second round pick that we have in 25 is a late round second anyway. And if you look at this draft, it is a depth heavy draft. There's a lot of good values in the
That's what
later
I'm saying.
rounds. Right. So there's, and especially when you're talking about Dan Morgan and Brant Tillis, they know that this is an incredible opportunity to get a bunch of high-end talented players that have no choice to come to Carolina. In free agency, no one really wants to come here. We're no one's first choice. The Panthers have no other choice but to build through the draft.
You gotta build through
Nothing
both.
is better for doing so than trading back that 8th overall pick.
I agree. What do we got next? Let's take another call.
No, let's do it.
Good evening, boys. Nick calling from Seattle. It's been a while since I've called in.
What's up, Nick?
What's
Sorry,
up,
dealing
Nick?
with a lot of crap on my end. Divorce
What
sucks,
is
guys.
Cody doing right here?
I'm almost through the tunnel, so we good there. The light's
Let's
almost there.
go.
Well, one thing I want to talk about is, Cody, there's something you posted on Twitter today or yesterday, my guy, and I'm just got a question for y'all. So
Come on, bro.
the people who are talking about drafting Tyler Warren at 8,
Oh,
name
perfect
me
time.
a single tight end drafted in the top 10
Here we
who
go.
won a Super Bowl with the team that drafted him. Hell, I'll even do you a step further. Name me a tight end drafted in the first round that drafted him. Don't worry. I'll wait.
There hasn't been. This is my point, Cody.
This
And
doesn't
I
move
think
me.
this is,
I
look,
know y'all think this is such a bar, but it doesn't
I
move
think-
me, man.
I think that the only thing that you have going for in your argument or your position is Brock Bowers, what he did this year, which was what they anticipated all these generational tight ends to do each and every year.
I would argue that it's not about drafting him at 8. It's about what we need as a team, right? And so I think we get so caught up on at 8 or at 9 or at 15 or at 16, but part of us has to look at this from a need of our team, right? And one of the things that is significantly apparent is teams that are successful tend to have a very high caliber tight end that is incredibly reliable. And that's going to go to, you look at the 49ers and their run. You look at, obviously, Kansas City. You look at, down in Miami, even though they're letting old boy walk away, I can't even remember his name, but he's been balling lately. You look up to the Eagles with Dallas Goedert, and then, it's just some of the best teams in the entire history of the NFL have kind of run through their tight end. And so it's just not always the case. I'm not going to say there's not outliers, but we as a team have not had a actual weapon at tight end since Greg Olsen in his prime. And my hope is, that some of these guys we have on our team are going to be able to play to that level. But just because we're picking at 8 and we're afraid that because other teams that have picked in top 10 for tight end, that it's not going to work out for us, is a reason to shy away from it. I just don't think that that's a valid argument in this situation. It's similar to the argument of a running back, right? Cody would probably be on the opposite side of this discussion, but taking a running back in the top 10 doesn't mean that just because that running backs don't tend to actually perform to a top 10 level, and especially not immediately, doesn't mean you shouldn't take them if you have that as a need. We get so caught up in the draft position that we're in, we forget that there might be needs that we have. Granted, go back in the beginning of the phone call or beginning of the show, I am not a fan of drafting offense with our number 8 pick. I think we have bigger needs than that. But if that was, if we needed an offensive player and we had our defense shored up through free agency, I have zero problem taking him at number 8.
So this is also why I don't like those arguments, because now we're not talking about Tyler Warren anymore. You're not talking about what he does well. You're not talking about what he could do for us. You're talking about what other men who came before him couldn't do. And yes, their numbers might not be on their side, but there's always a first. There's going to be an example of a team that did it right and that takes a good tight end in the first round and they end up making a difference. Another thing that you don't turn on to is that there have been multiple first round tight ends that even if they weren't immediately impactful, look at what they've gone on to do. TJ Hawkinson is one of the better tight ends in the NFL. That dude's still balling out. It's not a zero-sum game of you just never do this.
It's not
It doesn't
a
work
never
that way.
done. It's just, is it the best?
Well, again, and like my man JD says, taking one kills multiple birds with one stone. He's a complete player. That type of player would produce almost immediately and get better with experience. And when we hired Dave Canales, he talked about how much he likes 2 tight end sets and 2 tight end packages. Him and Jatavion Sanders would be the perfect opportunity to do just that, man. I don't care. I know that people are scared because it's a tight end. It's not enough to move me off of drafting him at number 8 overall. I will meet you halfway and say that I would love to draft him at, say, 12 or 13 rather than 8 overall. But then again, we're splitting hairs. If you think he's the guy that makes your offense better right now, then he's the guy that makes him better right now, man.
And it's
CK,
one of the only,
yeah,
it's the only one of the only positions that we would be able to draft at that we would be able to actually see pay off in a pretty direct way. Like we look at Derek Brown. When we drafted him, there were a lot of fans that were not happy about going defensive tackle because it's not a sexy pick. And it's not something that really kind of played out until year 3 or 4 of him being in the league, right? Which is why he got that massive contract. So, but a tight end has the opportunity to play a big role in a tangible way. You can see that pick pay off pretty quickly.
Best player available, Drip. He said, never get blinded by the lights. It's not a need. Dude, who gives a damn? I don't give a damn if he's in need, bro. If he's good, if he's the guy, go get the guy, man. That's simple. Let's take another call.
Yo, what's going on, my C3 family? D, Sanford, North Carolina, a.k.a. D-Money. Shout out to the great Tony
D-Money.
To the homie Cody Lack. The CK Cold to Cole. To shut the hell up, Panther Pickle. To my brother from another mother, the great first ballot Hall of Famer, Diesel Skills. So I think, we're talking about how wrapping up free agency and getting ready for the draft and so forth. And like I've stated before, I'm happy with how free agency went. We got some tool guys. We got some guys that hopefully can work as a collective to bolster this defense. So I'm very excited and happy about that. I know there's a lot of people debating back and forth when it comes to the draft situation. I'm not really worried about that. I feel like Dan and them, they're doing their evaluating and they're getting the right person and talking to the right people about bringing the right dog into this situation. If it's Tyler Warren, like I said, I'm all good for the best player available. So if it's Tyler Warren, if it's Jalen Walker, if it's somebody I'm not saying right now, I'm all for it. I'm also for trading back and trying to add some more compensation into the situation because it is a long way from 8 to 57. So either way, I'm cool with it. But like I said, the building blocks have been set. The foundation is laid. The bricks is there. Everything is looking good. We're getting it all great. We're getting all the workers in, getting the permits. Everything is going great. Can't wait to see what new additions we're going to bring when draft time comes. And if you're not with us now, you're not welcome to the parade. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding, CK. You want to have first up at bat?
Man, I think you're going to hear a lot of people comfortable with the idea of trading back. And D makes a great point. It is a long way from 8 to 57 is the draft pick we got from the Rams.
Yeah, man.
That's a disappointing outcome because we were hoping that second round pick was going to be a little more valuable during draft time last year because we didn't really see the Rams coming in and competing, but they found a way and they were able to make it work last year. But man, it's I am going to be interested to see how we play that second round though, that 57 pick. It's almost to me just would be kismet for us to use an edge, because that is the last piece of the puzzle from the Brian Burns trade. So, if we can come for full circle and get a guy to replace Burns with that pick, then that would be again a moment of just pure, just things working out. Best way to put that. So, but yeah, if we can trade back to bridge that gap between 8 and 57, man, I am all for it. And there's not a lot of people there. I haven't seen one person in chat saying trading back is a bad idea.
No. I even if you love someone at a dude, if you're a betting man, I'm telling you, there's no way the Carolina Panthers are gonna do like what you just insinuated, CK, or that that we're not. There's no way that we're gonna go from 8 to 57.
No. It's 8 to 23. It's 8 to the second and a first next year. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're not going.
And that's another thing. Like, I'm willing to, if you have enough players that you like in this draft, especially if you're able to move back in the first round, dude, I don't mind giving up some future capital if there's a player that you like. I would prefer to not do that, though. That's why I would like to trade back in the first. That way, we're not having to move up from the bottom of the second and giving up future draft capital in this year or next year's draft when you have so many positions of need.
Yeah, you can't trade out of the first. Here's the thing: is that there is not an argument you will win with any Carolina Panthers fan if you make the decision to trade out of the first. You can get, we need a first round pick this year. We need as many picks this year as possible, because pushing a first round to next year tells us that you're still feeling we're in rebuild mode. And I feel like after last year, I think this year needs to be the year we start.
We're in build mode.
We are in we have the foundation set. Now we need to start putting up the framing and all of that. And if you push that first round draft pick to next year, you give that up just to get more first rounds, maybe even get 2 first rounds over the next 2 years. I don't know. You may be able to do something like that. I think most people are looking at that as like, okay, we're kicking the can again. And you're talking about that doing it on the 3rd year of Bryce Young's rookie contract, when after this year, we have to start having a conversation about whether we're picking up his 5th year option. Come on, we can't do that. We can't play this game.
I agree.
I hear you, man. Let's do it.
Yo, what's going on, my C3 fan?
Yo, what's good, C3? It's JD54.
JD,
I'm listening to the podcast. You guys are talking about the receiving group, and I've had these thoughts for a little while, and with the receiving group as is, I can understand and I agree with a lot of fans who want the Panthers to add talent to that room. But I've always been of the mindset that, and this is in a way a defense of Morgan, defense of Leggett, and specifically Leggett's performance from last season. People, I feel like, forget that Leggett wasn't brought in to be the number one guy. He wasn't brought in to be the X receiver immediately. This is the part of it that kind of defends Morgan and their vision for what that offense would have been. And it's a shot at Deontay Johnson too, because if Deontay Johnson hadn't shot himself in the foot, like fumbled his bag, this offense looks vastly different. X probably isn't in the X role so much so, like he's probably the number 2, 3 option, probably the number 3 or 4 option competing with Coker. If Deontay hadn't did what Deontay did, this offense looks completely different. So it's a defense of Morgan in that front office, they're able to scout talent. They brought in pieces that would have made this offense that much better, but Deontay was Deontay and that happened. So now you're kind of forcing Coker and Leggett to step up. This is year 2 for them, so I'm excited to see what those guys can do. I'm one of those people who, I'm always defense first. So take my 2 cents with a grain of salt. But I don't want to see us taking a receiver with the 8th overall pick. If you're going to take an offensive player, I feel like I feel like if you're going to take an offensive player with the 8th overall pick, it needs to be Warren, the tight end. seems to me like he's the most complete player. You could plug him in and immediately see impact from drafting him. Outside of that, just go ahead and trade back, accumulate as much draft capital as you can, and go from there. But yeah, I just wanted to add that in onto that one segment that y'all was talking to. Keep up the good work. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding. And CK, I think that's also where a lot of the criticism of not doing anything to upgrade the wide receiver room comes from. There's a lot of people that have made up their mind about Xavier Lee getting 1 year.
Yeah.
Like they've seen all those drops and no one's defending them either. Like the dude had some ridiculous drops. One of them literally would have been a game-winning touchdown, like a game-winning play on a game-winning drive. So no one's making excuses for XL. But we're also trying to practice enough patience and have enough foresight to look in the future and say that he's a young player who was sort of banged up. Now you have him and Jalen Coker in their second year. These are two highly talented dudes. And one of the things that I was saying on Twitter is that XL is a superior athlete to Ted McMillan, who's coming out this year, who's everyone is saying is at the top of the class. So I think that XL has a ton of potential that's untapped. He wouldn't be the first player to overcome drops. He just has to get better at it. Has to get on
the drop
that
narrative is too much, Cody. The drop narrative is too much. He had 600 and something yards in his rookie year and 4 touchdowns. That's better than anybody's done for us in a minute.
Hey, let's talk about the alternative. Let's talk about what could have been, right? We could have gone after Marvin Harrison Jr., right? And if you look at his, I mean, where he was drafted, what would you expect his numbers to look like last year, right? You'd expect him to be 1,000-yard receiver. You probably expect double digits as far as touchdowns. Dude, I mean, yes, did he have more than Xavier Lee? Absolutely. Obviously, he should.
He came on late in the season.
885 yards and 8 touchdowns. Like, we're not – this is just ridiculous. He's a first-round pick, right? I know he may have been the last pick in the draft, but he was a first-round pick. Or in the first round, I should say, last pick in the first round. But to just say let's throw that away and like let's move on. Here's the thing:
it's
is many of the people you're talking about going and getting and filling that role have been the number 2 wide receiver on their teams, meaning T. Higgins, meaning Chris Godwin, meaning Brandon Ayuk. And now you're talking about trading for probably pretty premium draft capital and hoping that they're able to come over here and produce the same way they did over there when they had a substantial amount of weapons on those teams to allow them to be able to succeed in a lot of ways. I think that right now, none of those players, none of those teams had a number 1 wide receiver until they did. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
So,
I'm with you, CK. I'm an XL fan.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna be. I think he can be great. If I had one knock on him, like as in, it's not even a knock. It's just like I wanted it to be more. It's not the drops.
Sure.
It's not that. I just want. You wanted the
excitement.
Yards after catch.
You wanted the excitement. You wanted exactly what we wanted from DJ Moore.
Well, I just wanted him to face mask somebody and run an extra 10 yards. But every time he caught the ball,
he went down,
going to the ground. You know what I mean? And it's not his fault. I'm not saying it's his fault. I don't know. But if there was one thing I wanted, that would have changed our narrative.
Well, he's a freak, right? Mutant freak, right? That's he's got this explosiveness.
And you want DBs in their face.
You wanted that DK Metcalf type of energy with him coming out this year, and that's not unreasonable given what you've seen from him when you saw him running with Deebo Samuel, that treadmill video that he had posted before this season last year. Like, the dude's a freak. Like, there's no doubt about it,
dude.
Yeah,
he's not Brandon LaFell, bro.
No.
That's what I'm saying. And you know what? I like Brandon LaFell. For all y'all people that used to shit on him, like, he was our best number 2 for a long time. I'm okay. Don't panic on XL at all, folks.
No,
like
I
you
think
could
this.
be in 2 years, you're gonna be like coming back and you're gonna be apologizing.
You know what's funny? We could be in the same situation that the Bengals were in this year in 4 years, or in 3 years with Coker and with Xavier Leggett.
Yeah,
my hope is
no. We had not. Somebody put 41%. I think it was my bastard son said 41% of their cap hit is in wide receivers.
Dude,
Crazy.
it's wild.
We got
It's
more calls.
so
Let's
crazy.
go through them.
We do.
Yo, what's good, C3? It's JD.
Hey guys, it's the girl that makes them out, aka Joey the Blind Panther. I was always of the mind after, especially after Jalen Coker, especially after seeing the flashes that XL showed when he managed to hold on to the football. I was always of the mindset that the wide receiver could easily be addressed in the draft, and even there, I don't really want to put too much of a priority on that because our defense was so bad. Like when you have the worst defense in history, you really can't justify spending premium positions outside of it. You have to fix that defense because look at the Bengals right now. DK was saying that at the beginning of the show. Look at the Bengals. The Bengals did exactly what they shouldn't have done, with their star wide receivers. Now, granted, I'm not saying that we're going to be in that situation because we're probably looking at, drafting a receiver, but we could be in a similar situation, as similar as it can be with the draft. I don't want to spend a premium pick on a first round, on a wide receiver. We can get a stud edge rusher. We can get a stud on defense like we haven't had in so long, dude. We haven't had a true stud on defense since Luke Kuechly. And even Luke Kuechly was last year. Luke Kuechly had taken a huge step back. So we really need that stud on defense back, and I would hate to see that, fall to a team, that is picking after us because we went and got a wide receiver when all we really need to do is keep developing Jalen Coker and keep working on XL and make sure that he knows how to hold on to the football. Because guess who used to have that issue? Tuba Hubbard. I'll leave you all with that,
It's not
guys.
an issue, bro. It's not an issue.
I don't disagree. I think that it's a rookie situation. It sounds like it's still going. Okay, he's good. Rookie situation. If I had to give you a list of my worries on this team, XL is probably bottom 5.
I'm tired, CK, of the drops narrative. Like it was like, oh, if we would have had this, we would have had that. Like there have been times where people have dropped open shit.
Yeah.
But I don't. Maybe I'm being defensive or protective over somebody I love in XL. But like, I think it comes down to that one play where he grabbed the ball and he was rolling over. Remember in the press conference later, he said, I thought I had the catch.
Was that the Eagles one or was that the...
I think these visual plays.
Yeah.
I don't think he's like out of hands problem, bro. I'm just ready. I think he's going to be a stud.
Yeah.
I mean, a stud. I think he's going to ride that horse into the sunset.
And we're going to have a full off season of him and Bryce being able to develop that chemistry. He's going to know a little bit more about the route trees, know how to play as an NFL player.
He's some more raccoon.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real about it. The amount of time that these players spend during their first season, like in their first off season, preparing for the draft, is such a substantial amount of time that literally has no impact on NFL readiness whatsoever. It's so ridiculous. So this year he's got the full off season to focus on the things that he needs to focus on to get better as an NFL player, as opposed to seeing, how am I going to increase my 40 time?
And also, let's think about Chuba Hubbard, somebody who's being celebrated like crazy. This motherfucker couldn't catch shit.
Yeah.
No.
Couldn't catch.
I mean, it was. We all talked.
I think it was a
mad
mental
about
thing. I think it was a mental thing.
And the
But
dude
let me be a testament to why you shouldn't give up on him. Because
Nah,
I
you
was
shouldn't.
because
I
I
think
was
XL
saying
is
that
gonna
Chuba
beat
Hubbard.
XL, man.
I've been saying that Chuba Hubbard was underrated when it was popular for everyone to trash on him. So these
He
players
did
grow.
look like a baby giraffe over his skis.
Well, okay, but also, how about this, Tony? And I said this earlier before you came back. I'm not making any excuses for XL either. He dropped
No excuse need to be made.
dropped a fuckload of passes.
Nah, it
and,
wasn't a
and there was
I think that
now
he
you're
just
being
big
disingenuous.
They were
No,
just
but
big
you're just
moments.
I
no,
think
but
the
no,
case,
no, no,
right?
it
I
was
think it
way
was
more
big
than just a
moments.
couple.
No, you want to
And
talk
there were
about
some
drop
big
passes?
ones.
Let's talk about Tech.
Dude, he dropped a ball on the end of a game-winning drive that would have
That's
why
it feels like it's
game.
more.
Big moment.
But yeah, early and late. But dude, when you're dropping passes in big moments, it doesn't matter if it's a little. Those are the ones that people remember.
Y'all
He's
love
gonna
Ted
have
Ginn.
to overcome.
Y'all love-
You're not hearing me.
No.
XL is gonna be the one that has to overcome this narrative about him. All I'm saying is that I believe that he can do so. Because I mean, I do think he was bad with the drops last year.
He had 8
just
drops.
has
I think
to
it's
continue to
exaggerated.
kick
All right,
ass.
let's move on to the next.
He had 8 drops, which is 85th in rank.
Yeah, how many?
I don't think. Look, I
You're
don't
right,
think
though,
it
those
was
are some big
crazy.
time drops.
Look,
That's
there was-
why it feels like it's worse, is because they were during big moments
Yeah.
when those drops happened. And that's just based off PFF, by the way. White Chocolate, I'm just basing it off of that. But they have him ranked 85th. 8 is not a substantial number. It's just, I agree, it came in the worst. It's the same. It's similar to our Eddie Pinheiro takes, right?
Yes.
It was like, okay, well, he didn't miss, but when he did, it was during the game winners, right? And it's similar to that. So and that just seems like it's a mental thing. When it's happening during big moments, it's clear that there's a mental capacity or a mental issue that's taking place. And it's just usually nerves. I mean, the dude's being relied on in the big moments.
Or it's us fans, man, putting so much emphasis on that. It's like, we saw that, we believe that. That's the narrative. All I know is this, is that I look at that big ass country motherfucker who eats coon and brings it in the little refrigerator. I want that dude on my team. Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't have this burning desire that so many of our callers or whatever is like, we don't have a one. We don't have a one. You know what is, nobody thought Justin Jefferson was going to beat the one until he was.
Yeah, but he was also the one day one. Like, he was the shit right away, and we moved up into the first round to draft.
I mean, that's fair.
All I'm like that's what all I'm trying to do is be fair. That he has progress that he has to make, and he has to put in the work to do it. That being said, we're not going as far as everyone else to just panic and say that he doesn't still have wide receiver one potential, which I think
he's good.
does.
All right, let's go.
All right, last call of the night.
No, we got one more that just came in. I'll load it.
Man, whenever you come in here, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to this great fucking content. C3 podcast go live every Tuesday. They got the free for all every Friday. They got the game
Fight me,
content
Jones.
on Saturday. And they got the game recap every Sunday. But real quick, man, everybody keep talking about this Tyler Warren, man, pick or whatever. I don't see us drafting no offense, especially at number 8. But we might trade down. Even if we trade down, I don't see us going offense. If we trade down, I think we're still going defense. If we go offense, it's probably going to be a receiver later on down the line in the draft. But them first couple of picks, I see Dan Morgan going heavy on his defense. And we still got to address the safeties. We only had 2 safeties on the roster. Maybe we can still sign another corner, in the draft, or another defensive lineman, or outside linebacker, So like somebody was saying, man, finally, this is last year and everything. Somebody was saying DJ Waddle too, but I don't know. I got to see how many years
like his contract was and everything.
Oh,
But
too.
I don't know, man. I just don't see us going offense, man. Not with his first pick.
Yeah.
Like I said, even if we
Agreed.
trade back, man. If Bryce come out here and play like he was playing the way he ended the season, hey, man, first of all, Bryce come out here with his motherfucking visor on the first game of the season. He motherfuckers better goddamn way. Watch out. And then why everybody think we got them going offense when we got them re-signed Tommy Trimble. And we got to got them tight end last year. And just Deion Sanders. How many got them tight ends that we got them need? That would just be a waste of me. We got them just, a tight end, and we just re-signed Tommy Trimble, and we got Sanders from last season. I mean, that just don't make any sense. I'll just see us trading back or getting that boy from Georgia or whatever. But then we could they said he could play inside linebacker and everything. But besides that, man, I hope everybody have a great fucking week. You know what I'm saying? Whenever you come in here, make sure you hit the motherfucking like button. Make sure you subscribe to the great content.
Right
The boys always go live. They always been consistent. I've been
My guy right here, C-Dog.
Love C-Dog.
Probably longer. I don't know. But everybody have a great goddamn day. Keep pounding. C-Dog 19 A3 TV out.
Keep pounding, brother.
Thank you, C-Dog. You're my brother. For real. Like, I love you. Illinois Judge put this up. Remember when y'all saying DJ Moore won't a number one? I think I would still say that.
Not even true. I said that
I would say he's not a number one.
I remember saying his production and the amount of touchdowns that he had received throughout his years wasn't number one. Like I remember
would say he's not a number one right now.
I remember I got shit when I compared him to Jamar Chase.
No,
and people were like, "That's
not
dumb."
Look, and I'm not trying to shit on him.
No,
I'm not trying to shit on him. I think DJ Moore's a great player.
Most people when they say that most people when they say he's not a number one, I think what they really mean is that he's not a top 10 wide receiver in the league. Like
or
that's what
that he
people mean
doesn't
when they say that.
He's not a Calvin Johnson. He's not a
he's not gonna.
It's like I mean, there's
he's
not
not.
what
he's
a
not
number
getting the
one
triple crown.
is. Yeah, I mean, he's a great. I would say Steve Smith technically wasn't a number one. Like he was because he did it. He fucking did it. Like he outplayed his product, like everything. But when I say that, like, no, I still don't think DJ Moore. You think if we added DJ Moore to this wide receiver group, yeah, we would be better. But you think you got the most dominant motherfucker in the league?
No. I think their offense is night and day fucking different. But
no, that's fine. That's fine if it's better. That if it makes you better. I'm talking about a player that can't be fucked with.
He would be a number one in this team.
Motherfucking shit.
He would be a number one wide receiver for sure.
Yeah, we would have a guaranteed number one wide receiver in DJ Moore. Now, how much of an impact that has? Again, I think that DJ Moore is probably. I don't know. He's probably just outside of the top 10.
He's more like Steve Smith than he is like Calvin Johnson.
Dude, how about this? One of the biggest fucking mistakes that the Panthers made was not sending Brian Burns instead of DJ Moore.
Oh,
that would have been literally. No, you fucking say that. DJ Moore would have been a fucking perfect player for Bryce Young. The perfect wide receiver for Bryce.
You know what? The same people are going to come up here and tell me how great Curtis Samuel was.
Not even remotely the same. Not even remotely.
It is.
No, it's not even kind of the same.
He's very good. And look,
Curtis Samuel was hurt all the time.
I'm not trying to diss on DJ Moore. I'm not. He is a dog. He balls. He's Steve Smith without punching the teammate in the face. He's the exact same player. Yeah. Right? But he can do everything. That's great. But he's not Shaq of the NBA, like the most dominant. And actually I would caution everybody to think like we're going to get a number one, and you get T Higgins and he turns out to be a 1B I think DJ Moore is a great player.
Yeah.
But do you think that you're going to build your offense around DJ Moore? No, I don't think you do.
No, I mean it's not. You're not. If you were to trade him today, I don't think he's getting a first round draft pick.
And he can ball, bro. I want him on my team.
He would have been the
Not
perfect
shitting on
wide
him,
receiver.
but I'm sorry if
I
you're
don't
not.
disagree with that, Cody. By
You're
the way.
not Mike Evans.
Like, God, can y'all think about what a missed opportunity it was to pair Bryce with Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore? Like, God, literally
the reason that
perfect players.
Do you know why that would have been so deadly? Is because I feel like where DJ Moore is most important is the middle of the field, right? Like that's always been his thing is the yards after the catch, and having a quarterback that can process and see the defense as fast as we hope that Bryce Young can continue to do. You're going to get those open, quick shots through the middle of the field, and you're going to see DJ Moore start to make some magic happen. That's exactly what you're hoping you would have seen this year out of Xavier Leggett, which is what I was saying is what we wanted DJ Moore's first year to look like as well. And it wasn't, by the way. Like there was some glimmers of that with DJ Moore, but it didn't happen in year one. It didn't. And by the way, keep in mind, DJ Moore was also drafted towards the end of the actual draft.
16. I think it was 16 or something.
No, it was in 20s. It was in the 20s because we were in the 20. We went to the playoffs that year when we got him.
It was 16 or maybe. I mean, I could be wrong. Remember, he got drafted before Calvin.
Yeah, but we were like 26 or 27th in that year because it was like we were watching the board just fall to us. And we're like, there have been no wide receivers taken, and we got the first opportunity at taking a wide receiver. DJ Moore was the first one off the board.
Cody, let's take the next call. I think we might have two more. I added one.
Yeah, 22nd. Okay.
I'm a swear on the hood. Whoa. Mickey in this bitch. I might just let this shit go. Oh, man. You know what?
Cody's favorite caller.
I
love how everybody hates him.
Singing that with Angelo, bro.
God, Dan is cooking, man, and he's doing what he's supposed to do. You know, I'm thinking we need to pick up T-Max, the wide receiver, the tall, slim Aaron Hernandez. Excuse me. Oh, I forgot he said, my bad, RP. And, maybe, I think his name is Jalen Walker. We pick him up. But, with that being said, let Dan cook. All right, bye.
All right, let's go to the next one, Cody.
Shout out to my dog, Hood Mickey.
I'm a swear on the hood.
Oh, maybe I downloaded it twice.
Hang on, let me see. Hold on, let me see if I handle
Let's
it.
just make sure we didn't miss anybody. You're listening to
that's it.
You're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast, the longest running Panthers podcast on the internet or just reality, bro. We've been doing this longer than everybody consistently. Do we need a clap? Maybe. Give me a pat on the back. Sure. I'll
Just
take
hit
it.
the like button.
Yeah. Smash that thumbs up and be a part of the community. Call in to the Cat Calls line. We keep them all week long. 252-228-5098. We pump. We have fun. Brotherhood here. Legion in the chat. Cody, do we have anything else? I don't think we do.
A lot of it is just, a lot of side dudes. Yoshina Jimin resigned.
Can we say this? Oh, good.
No, I mean, just Yoshina Jimin resigned. We just some players
depth for your offensive line. I like this a lot. Just skip this. The one I like is this. Is we're talking about our running back room of. Oh, by the way, Shad Tuttle coming back on less money.
Yeah, he took a pay cut. And by the way, I like Shad Tuttle, and him and Derek Brown are good friends too. And it's like, dude, the more bodies, the better, man. We really need those pocket destroyers. So, shout out to Shad. A lot of people talk shit about Shad, but they can do a lot worse than Shad Tuttle.
My favorite story is talking about the Panthers getting Dwaddle and Chuba, and the Cowboys get Miles Sanders.
We did have the Miles Sanders thing in here, right? Hang
Yeah,
on.
man, it's not even a big deal. It's just
Yeah. We have Yoshi the Jimin coming back. Who gives a shit, really? Yeah, here it's he went to the Cowboys, and Miles Sanders. No, Javonte Williams says the sky is the limit for him and Miles
right.
Sanders.
And I got no beef with. I mean, I got no love for Miles Sanders. I ain't got no beef either.
He was gonna make his money. He was not willing to take a pay cut.
I just say this is that if you're the Cowboys today and you're the Panthers today, who got the better running back room? We do. That's it. All right, Cody.
Yeah,
they
man.
can go to CarolinaCatChronicles.com. They can hit the shop tab and they can buy a t-shirt or a mug. And you have to pay with PayPal because Joey died. And when I say Joey died, he really did die. And the Stripe payment will not work. And they won't take, and it's like this big beef. Not beef, but I'm like, look, my man. Anyway, Joey was the person that ran this site. Not ran the site. He didn't run the site. I did everything. And I'm not saying no shade on Joey on that. But the Stripe people are like, we need your verification. And I was like, I gave it to you. And they won't accept it. So I think you can only pay PayPal.
Real quick, D said that he called again.
Ooh. We're going to take that D.
Broadway Joe says DJ Moore 40 time at 442, XL 40 time 439.
I'm telling you, man, XL is legit, bro. Just give him a moment.
He has that high end athleticism that is missing.
Are you looking for the call or do I need to look for the call?
You didn't tell me to. I can. Hold on.
It might be on 1108.
Got you. Hang on.
What's last four? Oh no, I got it.
I got you. Hang on, man.
No.
I bet y'all do it before you.
No way.
Try me, son. Oh shit! Hang on.
Too late.
You got it?
Hey, what's going on, family? This is D.
Hot damn, you did something.
Hey, man, this whole Xavier Legette thing still just kind of puzzles me, and I've kind of stayed quiet because I'm going to make this really quick and short, and I hope I don't step on any toes, but if I do, hey, so be it. It is what it is.
Oh, that's it?
No.
Did you accidentally click it?
Maybe.
No, I didn't do anything.
I just changed
for real. And this is for especially people who were lovers of Bryce Young and who they wanted grace, which I was one of them people to give him grace. Let's see what he develops into. And there was so many people so willing to give grace to Bryce to his development when he actually stunk up the place with the first early on part of his career or the first year and a half. Now, we take XL, whose production coming in was way better if you had to measure it in the scale to what Bryce Young brought to the table. Also, when we go into that equation, I feel that XL body was war. Just like CK said when he was talking about all the extra stuff they was doing, no real off-season, no real R&R. This cat up here doing 40-yard dashes on treadmills and stuff. I really feel that a lot of those drops was concentration and from fatigue. He was banged up. His body wasn't right. He hadn't got acclimated to the NFL abuse yet. And I feel like he's going to be a better player. And for everybody acting like we should.
Good evening, boys. Nick calling from Seattle. It's been a while.
That's my fault. I was trying
Sorry,
to
dealing with a
delete
lot.
calls at the same
Hey,
time.
what's going on? Hey, what's going on, family? This is D.
Oh, no.
D Money.
Yeah, started
man,
over?
This whole Xavier Legette
I had
thing
to,
still
man.
just kind of puzzles me, and I've kind of stayed quiet because I'm going to make this really quick and short, and I hope I don't step on any toes, but if I do, hey, so be it. It is what it is. But, like, for real. And this is for especially people who were lovers of Bryce Young and who they wanted grace, which I was one of them people to give him grace. Let's see what he develops into. And there was so many people so willing to give grace to Bryce to his development when he actually stunk up the place with the first early on part of his career or the first year and a half. Now, we take Excel, whose production coming in was way better if you had to measure it in the scale to what Bryce Young brought to the table. Also, when we go into that equation, I feel that Excel body was war. Just like CK said when he was talking about all the extra stuff they was doing, no real off season, no real R&R. This cat up here doing 40-yard dashes on treadmills and stuff. I really feel that a lot of those drops was concentration and from fatigue. He was banged up. His body wasn't right. He hadn't got acclimated to the NFL abuse yet. And I feel like he's going to be a better player. And for everybody acting like we should move on from him, let's remember the same energy y'all had for Bryce when y'all was mad at anybody who would doggone say that joker needs to go. Have some grace. One player is no better than the other. We got to support these dudes and pray and hope for their development. You know that I love every single one of you. If you ain't with us now, you ain't welcome to the parade.
Keep pounding. Love you, brother. Love that dude. Always brings the energy. Yeah, man, dude. There's so many things that you kind of hit on too. We've already talked about Excel. I did before.
It's just grace. It's grace for players. It's like you give grace to some players.
Right.
You don't give grace.
Yeah, we gave a lot of grace to Bryce Young. A lot of grace, and now it's like people have no grace for Excel.
Well, they don't even need it. Like, and he's right about this. Is that game that he had the drop in the late? Like, it could have been the game-winning catch. It was the Chiefs or the Eagles. One of those games we were just vying for. He also had his back broken in one of those earlier plays. He probably shouldn't have been playing at all. So look, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm telling you this. I believe in XL. And I don't know what he will be, but I know he a real dude. Cody, we've done the slides. We've done the calls. I think we just got to ice some fools up now. That's it. You're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. You can go and support us by buying the mug, buying the t-shirt. Remember, you got to use PayPal because Joey's dead. And I miss Joey. I cried about him the other day, just talking about him. Best bro started this with me. So, look, you support us by just giving us your time, your input, and your energy. That's all we need. Like, subscribe. I know, and that almost makes me feel like a douche saying it, like, subscribe. Just be a part of it. Be a part of the conversation like these callers. Be a part of our friendship like CK and Cody are to me, brothers. That's all we need. And that's it. Everything's going to work out. We're going to ice some fools up, Cody. We're going to tell them to get their shit together, to toughen it up. Drop that shit on them.
Let's ice some fools up.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
It's our homage to Steve Smith, where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up, to get it together. Or maybe we should say to go deeper. Rough. My bad. I'm never going to let it go, homie. Let's go. Who got some ice up for us tonight?
I have for sure got one.
Oh, is somebody dying on the internet? Please, please, please.
No, maybe not dying, but definitely being assaulted.
Yes.
So I have there's this. Why does the StreamYard do this, dude? That is not what I told you to share, stupid. Hang on. Boom, here we go. So you might have seen this floating around the internet. There's this girl. She's at a track meet, and she's running, and she takes the baton.
Oh, is this where she hits her with it?
Yeah, she takes the baton and hits the girl in the head. This
and then
girl
tried
is,
to say she didn't.
Well, yeah, she tried to say that she didn't, and there's like multiple different camera angles of it.
So you're physically hurt, but you're not thinking of my mental, right? They're going off of one angle. A couple times hitting her my baton.
Oh, you beat her with a fucking.
And rolled up her back.
She's like a police officer with a baton.
She got hit. I know my intentions, and I would never hit somebody on purpose.
Shut the fuck up.
My character, calling me ghetto, racist slurs, death threats, all of this just because of a 9-second video.
So it was also another news story that apparently the NAACP came out in favor of her. Dude, it's a wild thing. And by the way, the girl that she hit was a black girl, man. Dude,
Yeah,
but you know what? But you know what I'll say though. To me, this is a generational thing. I think a lot of younger kids, a lot of the quote unquote Zoomers, whatever generation they're of, that they just haven't been taught a lot of self-responsibility at a young age, man. There's no responsibility for their actions amongst young people these days.
And beat that bitch on her head.
Yeah, and she, by the way, her
multiple times. And
yeah,
her
her
tried to be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't ever mean to do that."
By the way, her skull was
do that.
She suffered a concussion and her skull was cracked. So
she meant to do it though. This is the thing that I have a problem with, Cody. Is people being like, "Oh, prayers up, whatever." Like you didn't pray, like you didn't. You meant to. She meant. She's like, I didn't mean to do that. Yes, you did mean to do that.
I mean, it's pretty clear.
Banged her in her head.
Yeah, it's pretty clear that was intentional, and I think that she should be held accountable. But I also, with many people that are younger, I think, like Cody alluded to, people a lot of times they don't know how to lose, right? They don't know how to not win, and like a lot of times we don't know what's going on in the back end. So she just wasn't able to maintain her emotional composure. She absolutely should be held accountable.
But CK, she hadn't failed. She hadn't had hardship. Right? Hardship.
I do think that she ultimately, I don't think this should define her life, right? And so, I don't think that death threats are valid in this instance. And I think that young lady has has a chance to be able to should have a chance to redeem herself. But I also think that she should be held accountable for the actions that she's had, because doing anything other than that's teaching the wrong lesson.
I don't think it should be her for her whole life. But Cody, CK, sorry guys, Cody. I got Cody on my left, Cody on my right. They're both names of Cody. CK, she did
the cream in between our two Cody Oreo cookies.
It's just like this. I agree with you. It's like it shouldn't define her life. We shouldn't like hate forever. But you know what I dislike more is her or someone not taking accountability.
Yeah, the fact that if she at the end of the day was willing to come out and say,
comment.
I messed up. Like honestly, I let my emotions get the best of me. And does that mean she's probably not going to be able to continue her athletic career? Sure, I think that's pretty much a guarantee that wouldn't happen if she did that. But I tell you what, the level of integrity and the level of respect she would have gotten around the world would have been way more significant, just based on her willing to say, I did something wrong and that's on me.
I just don't like the people being like, oh, I didn't mean to. Like, fuck off. And you know what? God will judge you.
Well, but also, this is also like playing the victim too.
Yeah.
Her wanting sympathy when you clearly did a fucked up thing. Now you've just made it worse. And also, like, it's deep. It's deep. I'll just say, ice up. Be responsible for your own actions and quit being such a whiny fucking brat about it. Ice up.
And just apologize, motherfuckers. CK, what you got for us?
On that not being whiny brats. Listen, I know that people aren't happy. If you don't like what's going on in the government, I get it. But this dumb stuff that is going on with burning down Teslas in protest of Elon Musk.
So much irony.
Do you know how ridiculous this is? Like, it's such it makes like I'm trying to think of the way to describe it.
But
it's so performative, but it's also like they're saying we're trying to hit him where his pocketbooks are. I'm like, you know that what that's going to do is all of the people that never would have bought a Tesla that support what's going on in the government are going to go buy Teslas now. Like, you don't understand the petty nature of many of those people that you disagree with by either side of this stuff, right? So this idea that you're going to go out and burn a Tesla to the ground and you've somehow shown the world that, you know, Elon Musk was the bad one. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you're literally burning down personal property to try to tell the world that somebody else is evil.
I love this comment from Thomas DeVries. These are the same people that can't stop bitching about global warming, and they're gonna do this. Like, how environmentally sound
can we
is
talk about this?
burn down a Tesla station, dude? How fucking hypocritical.
Can we talk about the irony of this?
Please.
Is that if you bought a Tesla 5 years ago, you were like, I'm environmentally sound.
Yeah, you were like,
I'm trying to save the globe.
You were virtue signaling in the other direction.
On top of this, Trump had put out too in like 2018. He put out a tweet that like people that buy fucking he fucking bashed.
Well, Elon used to be against Trump.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is what I think the irony of all of this shit is like, I'm a good environmentalist that's fucking doing the shit, and I'm reducing my carbon footprint. But now the shit's flipped. It's so stupid. It's so dumb. And when I say so dumb, is like, if you buy the car because you believe it's helping the planet, buy the car because we politicized everything.
It's just
you can't even buy an ice cream cone without it being about, is this about how fucking cows are treated?
It's just again, I respect anybody who wants to protest,
burn your shit down,
do whatever you want to do. But like, the idea that what you're doing is somehow morally better because you just disagree with the way the government's being run, so you're going to burn down somebody who, by the way, they might have bought that Tesla 5 years ago before any of this took place and never would have bought it now, and all of a sudden you've burnt down their Tesla. Like, you know how dumb these decisions are? It makes you look like such a weak people when that happens. Like, you've got to be willing to understand that from the outside. And I know this is such a small minority of people that are doing these things, but it really damages the entire view of a party when their answer to these things is, let's just burn everything to the ground instead.
Could have bought Chevy the whole time.
You know, and that goes either way, by the way. Like, if your mindset is, I didn't get my way, so let's burn it to the ground, it's such a weak position to operate from.
I know, they're all children.
Yes.
All right. Ice them up. My ice up goes to this. Is basically, I don't know how to say this delicately. It's not even delicate. It's not even crazy. It's like, how are you going to care about somebody for a supposed amount of years and not remember they got a fucking podcast on right now? That's it. Ice up. It's been every Tuesday night for the last 13 fucking years at 9 o'clock. Don't text me, bitches. Let's go. Cody Lack. That's it. We've had a great time tonight. The number is 252-228-5098. We'll play your call next week. Friday free for all. We get it done. We here. We're about to be lit as the draft comes up. Take us out of here, my man.
C3 Legion, we love y'all. Until this Friday at 7 p.m. for the Friday free for all. My name is Cody Lashing. That's Tony Dunn, the professor. That's CK, the voice that makes the noise. We will be back for another edition of the C3 Panthers podcast. C3 Legion. Keep pounding.
I got bigger boobies than